Hello. Welcome to episode 16 of the Great Canadian Hockey Podcast. For myself, James Parisi, and my co-host Aidan Sarah. We're both co-hosts. There's no host and co-host, but we're here. We have a ridiculous amount of trades to go over. Um, just an obscene amount. I want to say this is probably the most exciting lead up to a deadline in my hockey life, I'd say. In my life as a hockey fan, I can't remember a busier deadline. How are you doing, Aiden? How do you feel? How are you taking in all this news? What's up?
Well, you said like lead up to the deadline. I don't think anything's gonna happen at the deadline, man. What still has to happen? Who's still on the market?
We still have the off the grid moves that we're not expecting.
A lot of those have already happened too, man. Like it's just we're pretty far from like holding our breath. Like a lot that a lot that might have happened has already happened. Like you're right about things we're not expecting. Like I'm still I'm still holding on to the very small sliver of hope I have that JT Miller's gonna get dealt, but he's not, right? Like um but like for Vancouver, yeah, you've got Besser, but really like what, JVR, Besser, Klingberg is probably still gonna get moved.
I think Nick Bonino is likely.
Nick Bonino, Joel Edmondson,
Bill
there's a chance
Edmondson.
he gets moved. There's a chance Toronto moves a depth D man. Like I think Justin Hall might get dealt. But again, all those big names are off the board, they're gone already.
Definitely. Well, we're gonna do this one a little bit interesting. As of right now, we're recording Thursday evening, and we will record the rest after the trade deadline actually goes down. That way, we can give you guys all of it in one go. I imagine people's ears will be numb after listening to this complete podcast because this is just ridiculous. The amount of moves were just nuts. I don't have a tally of every single one that happened. Maybe that's something we'll include after the deadline because usually they have the stats out on how much money got moved, how many trades happened, stuff like that. So we'll probably take a look at that at the end. I'll have that information for you there. But yeah, it's pretty sweet, and I'm enjoying it. You want to just get this thing underway?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is already going to be long, so let's not deliberate too much. I know the plan here is to go through all the trades and give a quick point. I know for at least a lot of these, quick is not going to be in the repertoire for analyzing these trades.
Was
So
that a pun? Was that an unintentional pun because Quick's been in the repertoire twice?
he's been traded twice. Did you see the post today from the Jackets? I thought it was hilarious
Yes, that was great. The
because
the, the Coyotes did that for Kane as well.
okay, I was gonna say it's not just that they did that because Arizona had already done that. It's that they like really crudely photoshopped his head onto like clearly just a Blue Jacket skater because he had the player gloves on. So it's
Someone
clear
told
that
me it was a Jacob Voracek.
it might have been, yeah, which is just it's that was the funniest part was like not that they thanked him, but that they like clearly like didn't even try on the on the Photoshop to make it real. Like they just tried to make it a joke, which made it funnier.
So the way we're gonna do this is the last deal we talked about was Dmitry Orlov going to the Bruins. So we're just gonna go through it trade by trade with everything that happened after in order. Some of them aren't very exciting, but I feel like we have to do our due diligence and go with those. I know I said last pod that it should be all rise and we should start off with a monster off the top, but we're gonna do a little differently this time. So the first deal we're going for is Colorado Avalanche add Keith Kincaid for Shane Bowers. Aiden, what do you have to say on this one? Anything?
I don't know, dude. Like it's you're right that it's like it's a funny one to start with considering what we still like have to get through and everything. Um yeah, it's a minor league deal. I remember thinking Shane Bowers might have been a player when he was at BU, but that hasn't
Yeah,
really
me
worked
too.
out.
Yeah, I mean, he was acquired in the Duchesne deal to Ottawa when Colorado got that massive package. The one thing I do have to say is there's a trend in Colorado where our goalies get injured every playoffs. So adding a fourth string netminder doesn't really bother me for a prospect that's not really moving the needle at all. So yeah, that's that one for me. All right. Well, next up, Vancouver Canucks acquire Vitaly Kravtsov for Will Lockwood and a seventh round pick. What do you got?
I do. I liked it for Vancouver. 23-year-old Kravtsov, ninth overall in 2018, right? To me, you're weighing what the ceilings are for Kravtsov and Lockwood. I think Lockwood's ceiling is a semi-productive, semi-effective fourth line right winger. And I don't
Mhm.
think he could be anything more. I think Vitaly Kravtsov's ceiling is still a top 6 forward. He's got all the skill to do it. I just think he needs the right fit. And for Vancouver, it's a fourth Russian forward on that roster. So if he's going to do it anywhere, why not do it surrounded by Mikheyev and Podkolzin and Kuzmenko, right?
The one interesting point I have other than that one is last night I was on FaceTime with one of my buddies and we were looking at every deal that's ever occurred with Jim Rutherford in management. And this is the third time that the pick where Will Lockwood was picked has been traded in a Jim Rutherford management trade.
That's so random because it's just a third rounder, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he actually follows that trend a lot, but we're not going to get into that too much. So, yeah. So next up, Jets add Nino Niederreiter for a second rounder in 2024. I honestly think this was a really solid addition for the Jets. I think Niederreiter really fits their style, what they have going on. I think he'll be a really solid Rick Bonus player, a solid extra piece of attack on that third line. Maybe moves up to the second line, chips in on your second power play. The guy scores timely goals. He does. And he's an effective player. He's all hustle. So I think that was a good move for a Jets team that looks like they could do some damage in the West.
Yeah, you get somebody with playoff experience too, right? He's never really gone deep. I think 2019 Carolina, he went to the third round, but that would have been the farthest he's gone. But he still has 82 games of playoff experience in his career. So
That's a lot.
you, yeah, it is. You buy low on a middle six forward who can kill penalties and who, by all indications, is just a good guy, right? Like he seems like he's never had a problem on any of the teams he's been on. He does a good job of making other forwards around him better as well.
He's Swiss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard of a bad person from Switzerland. I'm sure there's lots, but there's bad people everywhere. I think I like every Swiss hockey player.
Yeah, I can't think of any right now.
But yeah, so that's really all we have on that one. Like we said, we're gonna be burning through a lot of these just because there's so many. Next up, Montreal acquires Denis Gurianov for a 50% retained Evgeny Dodonov. I love this deal for Montreal. I think reclamation projects are just the best possible move for teams that are trying to move forward, going through a transitional era, just like the Canucks grabbing Kravtsov. I think Colorado rolled the dice on that like 3 times. We tried with Yakupov, tried with Nichushkin, tried with Galchenyuk even. It's just Galchenyuk was a little bit far gone, but yeah, you roll the dice. If it works 1 out of 10 times, why not?
Yeah, and Evgeny Dodonov is somebody like he a few years ago, this guy's like a 70-point guy, right? And he's 33 years old now, so he's trending downwards and he's a pending UFA.
Sick hands.
He's a good player. He's a very capable player. I think for Dallas, getting him as a rental is a really good thing. And I think you're absolutely right as far as Guryanov goes, because this is a guy, you're going to say the same thing about him that I said about Kravtsov. This is a guy with all the ability in the world. I think you and I, when the trade happened, we're talking about Dallas in the 2020 bubble playoffs and how good Guryanov was, how good he was.
We had
Not
a
only,
long texting conversation
yeah,
about it.
yeah, he was sick in that first round against Calgary. Like I think he had a 4-goal game against the Flames, and
That's right.
he scored some other big goals. He scored the goal that sent them past Vegas in the West Final too. So for me, it's like you said, like this is a guy. Last season, 73 games, 11 goals, 31 points. He's 25 years old. He's had a bad year, but Marty St. Louis, like look at Kirby Doc. Look how good Doc's playing under St. Louis, right? Like I think this is going to be a good fit.
Definitely. Yeah, it's I didn't really expect Montreal to be crazy busy at the deadline, looking at contracts on their team and looking at what they've done over the past year and a half or so. I thought maybe if they're going to be busy, it's going to be more in the off season, but this is just the perfect move for their management. Props to Jeff Gordon for just going out there and Jeff Gordon and crew. Honestly, I think Gordon is the mastermind behind everything in Montreal. But yeah, I think it was a really solid addition. Next up, what I think might end up being one of the best moves of the deadline going into the playoffs. Golden Knights acquire Ivan Barbashev for forward Zach Dean. What do you think?
Well, much like the last one with Guryanov and Dadonov, it addresses the needs of both teams. Um, Barbashev, 27 years old, 60 points in 81 games last year. I actually think St. Louis might have been able to get a little bit more. Like Zach Dean looks good, 30th overall pick by the Knights in the 2021 draft. If you told me that Barbashev and Dean would have been traded for each other, I would have guessed that a pick would have been thrown in with
Even
Dean.
like a fourth or something, you
Yeah,
know?
well, I would have said Dean in a third, yeah. Because Barbashev to me, like this is a very underrated player. Like he
Yeah.
is very good. He exploded offensively last year. I'd be inclined to say that I'd be surprised if he has another 60-point year, 25 goals, 60 points. He's not really a huge scorer, but to me, this guy's a perfect middle six forward who can score. He can be elevated in the lineup, or he can be the defensively responsible, hard to play against third line center. And obviously, that's what the Knights are kind of getting him to be in the playoffs because they've got Chandler Stevenson and Jack Eichel. And Chandler Stevenson, by the way, has 50 points in 61 games this year. Every year, I keep thinking this guy's not gonna be the offensive specialist that he is at this point. Like I got to stop doubting Chandler Stevenson, but Stevenson, Eichel, and William Karlsson and Ivan Barbashev down the middle for the Golden Knights is it's looking pretty good. And Vegas knows how wide open the West is. They're trying to take it.
It's a classic case of solid player for prospect slash picks. It's a rental. Like I'd be surprised to see Barbashev re-sign in Vegas, given their cap situation and given how frequently they're always moving and shaking. But yeah, I think it was a solid move for both squads. Next up, Colorado reacquires Jack Johnson for defenseman Andreas Anglin. Avs fans actually really liked Anglin. He's a big boy, and he looked like he was moving up and developing through the system. But contending teams, you go acquire a veteran presence that you're familiar with for one that might be a little bit more gamble and a tough situation. Colorado liked JJ in the playoffs last year, so I think it was a solid move. Did what they had to do.
Yeah, Jack Johnson apparently was very popular in that room as well, so
Very.
he'll give that team that boost. Andreas Englund, yeah, he's 27, right? So it kind of became at like, yeah, he's 6'3", but it might have been a situation of if he was going to hit, he would have hit already. Yeah, I like the trade. I do like the trade for both teams because for Chicago, like you get a guy, right? You get a guy that is going to step straight into your lineup, and he's played 2 games for them already as of Thursday.
He cost nothing.
Yeah, because Jack Johnson, he's 36 years old, Johnson. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's time for a big boy. You ready for a big boy?
What is it?
New Jersey Devils
Yeah.
acquire Timo Meyer, former Timur Ibragimov, defenseman Scott Harrington, defenseman Santeri Hataka, goaltender Zachary Amond, fifth round pick in 2024 for a first round pick in 2023 going to San Jose, a conditional first becomes a first if Meyer plays in 50% of the games en route to the Devils reaching the finals. Conference finals rather. And then Fabian Zetterlund, who I actually don't mind. Andreas Janssen, who will play, slot in. Nikita Ohochuk, and defenseman Shakira Mukhamadullin, who I think is probably the biggest piece in there. And then also a seventh round pick in 2024. More lottery balls. Get them all in there. What do you think? This one was a mouthful of a deal.
Yeah, I think the New Jersey Devils did very, very well to be able to get Timo Meyer without giving up Alexander Holtz, Simon Nemec, Luke Hughes, like
Dawson Mercer.
Dawson Mercer. They really could have sold the prospect farm. And yeah, Mukhamadullin,
And
I
not even
like.
two guaranteed firsts.
Yeah, literally. Mukhamadullin, I like him. I do. I do think he's going to be
You
a
like
very
him? You think he's a
solid.
nice guy?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a solid NHL defenseman. Zetterlund. Zetterlund was an interesting one. Like I think this guy's ceiling is middle six.
Yeah.
Um,
Which I think he pretty much already is.
yeah, yeah, and it's just gonna be one first rounder, right? I think San Jose, to me, honestly, James, I think San Jose could have done better. Like and obviously,
Oh, 100%.
yeah, like obviously they would have exhausted all their options as far as finding a Meyer trade. But
I don't think there was a better deal around. That's the
no,
problem.
and there wouldn't have been for them to have made this one. Um, I just even just the fact that it's not going to be 2 firsts, right? Because I don't think the Devils make the East Final this year. I don't think they beat both the Rangers and the Hurricanes. Like I don't I just I would bet against them. So for that reason, I think San Jose could have done just a step better. Just because of
I
that.
don't think they could beat the Rangers either.
No,
I think
no, I
they're the
said
third
both.
best team in this division.
Yeah, no, I think they would lose to both Carolina and New York. Yeah,
Yeah. I think they'll give them a run for their money and make an exciting series, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then I think New Jersey just throws a Brinks truck at Meyer and has a dynamic forward moving into the future.
yeah. Well, and Meyer is just another free agent for them, right? Who knows what they're going to do in the offseason because they got a lot of guys pending.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think New Jersey wins this trade by a country mile. I don't think San Jose does terrible, but I definitely think they could have, should have, would have. You know, especially like looking at what like look at that O'Reilly trade, right?
Yeah.
Like first, second, third. You know what I mean? Like for a
Yeah.
pure rental mid-30s centerman versus a 26-year-old star winger that is probably going to be on your team for a while.
So
That
I
isn't
think the
even
way
a
you have
pending
to look at
UFA.
it is there was the San Jose got the guaranteed first. You have to consider Mukhamadulin's like you consider him like a late first. So there's 2 first rounders in the deal, then a chance at another first, and then like Zetterlund, you think of that like a second rounder, and then Ohochiak like a late rounder, mid,
Yeah,
fourth, third, because he's
yeah,
relevant. He has a relevant shot at making the NHL.
yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those ones where it's really interesting. Apparently, the deal was going to be slightly different, and that's why it took a long time for the package going back to San Jose to come out
Yeah, but
because
it wasn't different substantially. It was different as in one of
it was
those
going to be former Ottawa center Max Verano.
yeah, it was one of those
Injured.
AHL guys that was gonna
Yeah,
go. Yeah, so I'd give the Sharks a B minus. I'd give the Devils an A plus, honestly.
yeah. It's they did what they had to do. It's just you wish it could have been better. Moving on, another big one. The Lightning acquired Tanner Jeannot from the Nashville Predators for defenseman Cal Foote, a conditional first that's top 10 protected in 2025 and converts to a 2026 first rounder if that's the case. If it were to be a top 10 in 2025, which I don't think it will be. Because Tampa is going to be relevant forever. And then a second round pick, a third round pick, a fourth round pick, and a fifth round pick. The second rounders in 2024. The remainder of those picks I mentioned are in 2023. This was a whopper of a deal. When I saw it, I just went as I kept scrolling down and reading more picks being involved. Tampa's all in. They pay for what they want. They're willing to pay a lot of picks and a lot of assets for what they want. They get what they want, and then they're successful. It's a model that has continued to work and will work until shown otherwise. That's how I feel about it. You know, if the next 2 years Tanner Jeannot sucks and they don't do any damage in the playoffs, we'll look at this and say, damn, that was a lot. They shouldn't have done that. But for now, I won't doubt Julien Brisebois and his moves.
Yeah, so this is a massive overpayment by a lot. Like, and let's rewind, right? 2020 going into the playoffs. Tampa Bay trades Nolan Foote, who was a recent first rounder, and a first rounder, not even theirs. It was the first rounder they got from Vancouver for JT Miller to the New Jersey Devils for Blake Coleman. That to me was a slight overpayment. I know there's a lot of people that are really, really high on Blake Coleman. I've always thought he was a very effective player. I wasn't overtly a fan of
They won
ostensibly at
two
the
cups, so
time.
you can't say overpayment.
Oh no, 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 no. Yes. So that's what I was gonna say is Blake Coleman and even Barclay Goodrow. They got Barclay Goodrow for a first rounder as well that year. You can't say either of those were
And
overpayments because
Goudreau was making like 700K or something.
yeah, and so you can't say it was 925. Yeah.
125.
You can't say either of those were overpayments because they won the cup. It was effective, right?
Mhm.
They trade Matthew Joseph and a fourth for Nick Paul last year, and then they give Chicago a big package, including a first rounder for Brandon Hagel. But Brandon Hagel, James, I don't think this is a
He's
secret. Brandon
filthy
Hagel,
this year.
he's been absolutely unreal. 49 points in 60 games, 22 goals on a stacked Tampa team. Okay.
Filthy.
Now, here's the thing. I like all those guys a lot more than I like Tanner Jeannot. Jeannot is a great grinder, right? He had an offensive explosion last year, 24 goals and 41 points in 81 games. I think that's the most goals and points he has in his career. He needs he would be a perfect player to have played with the Citians. But
Yeah.
that's how he would have produced though. So if he finds that kind of fit, he'll pot in a bunch of goals in front of the net. He'll be effective. I just don't see him driving a line. And I just want to address,
He would have really fit in on the 2007 Cup winning Anaheim Ducks.
yeah. So I just really quickly, and I try and avoid maybe being harsh at other opinions, right? It's just I don't know. I wanted your thoughts on this. So one of the things that I thought was one of the stupider things I've heard about this trade was somebody say, like, what would those picks have turned into? First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Like, are Tampa Bay really trading future NHLers with those picks? Like, what are the chances those players hit? And I just,
Isn't it 27%?
oh my God, listen, I implore you to go back. This is a reminder. This isn't just any team drafting. This is the Tampa Bay Lightning drafting,
Who
right?
hit every year.
I would like to implore you to go back and look at how this team was built, okay? Andrei Vasilevsky, 2012, steal at 19th overall. Nikita Kucherov, 58th in 2011. You have 2014, Braden Point, third rounder, 79th overall. 2015, Anthony Cirelli, third rounder, 72nd overall. Matthew Joseph, fourth rounder, 120th overall. Connor Ingram isn't a Tampa Bay Lightning. I think he's actually still going to be an effective NHL. He's having a great year in Arizona because he's got a 908 on a Coyotes team that sucks. He was a third rounder of Tampa at 88th overall. You have, continuing on, you still have effective players going in these drafts with the Tampa Bay Lightning. You have guys that are still, I look at that 2020 draft, Jack Finley, Gage Gonzalez, Maxim Groshev. I actually think all those guys are going to be NHLers. Groshev in the KHL.
Groshev especially.
Yeah, he's not getting time in St. Petersburg. I don't know how much everybody knows about the KHL. SKA St. Petersburg is like the juggernaut. So you have to be very good to play there, but then you don't play much if you're a young guy.
Yeah,
So
like they loaned Michkov away so that he could play more.
yeah, in Sochi, absolutely. So as much as, I get maybe that being the default argument when you see a bunch of picks get traded away, like, oh, what was the chances of those guys being NHLers? Listen, if the Tampa Bay Lightning were drafting, pretty freaking high. So I just implore everybody to look into it before that claim is made. And I like Cal Foote too. To me, he's a very useful defenseman. Again, not too many minutes on the Tampa Bay Lightning this year, 26 games, 3 points. But this is a guy who's a good puck mover, good in his own zone, good in the offensive zone. He's just all around a solid defenseman. If you asked me what Tanner Jeannot was going to go for, I would have said Cal Foote, a first and a fourth at max, right? The second, the third, the fifth, it's a bunch of stuff that didn't need to be there, except for the fact that it did, because Nashville didn't have to trade Jeannot. So Tampa did what they have to do. But James, to me, it's the question is now going to be, what does Tampa do with all these players they have, with all these picks they've given away? Because at some point it stops being worth it, and it stops being worth it when the rings stop coming in.
Fair. Yes, I will agree with 97% of that. The other 3% of me says eventually all of these contracts to the Lightning's core are going to start expiring. Steven Stamkos is going to start getting older, and eventually you're going to want someone around who might end up developing further as a late bloomer. So the fact that he might not be all that great the next few years, his age now kind of helps. But I think my number one favorite part about this trade, have you seen Matt Duchene's Instagram?
No.
Matt Duchene's caption was, "From mini sticks in the basement to Preds teammates at Bridgestone Arena, unreal stuff. Welcome to Smashville, Cal Foote." And so he has a picture of him at 18 years old living in Adam Foote's house with all of the Foote kids. Then he has a picture of him standing with Cal and Nolan and Adam Foote when Adam Foote was captain of the team. And then thirdly, he has a picture of him and Cal Foote teammates in Nashville.
That's awesome.
That's hockey. That's just amazing. That like I had such a big smile on my face. That's probably my favorite story of this NHL season is like how it all came full circle like that.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, so Tampa overpays. It's no secret. I give the Lightning a C plus for this. I give the Predators an A plus.
If the Lightning win a cup, do you give them an A minus?
You know, if the Lightning win a cup, everything's justified to
Yep.
me, right? Nothing. There
If
was
they go
no.
to the finals, is it justified?
Oh,
If Tanner Jeannot has half a point per game in 18 playoff games, is it justified?
okay, I'm gonna say yes. The reason I'm gonna say yes is this year. If you're thinking, let's do this to get out of the Eastern Conference Final, like the Eastern finalists should win this year, right?
Yep.
So it's not like you're doing all this to get to the final just to get gobsmacked by a juggernaut in the West. I don't think there's a juggernaut in the West this year. So, to me, with the way the league is, it would have been worth it to go to the final because they were just beaten by a team I think they would have been better than. Because whether it's Vegas, Colorado, like Colorado this year isn't Colorado last year. Vegas, Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg. I think whoever comes out of the West is it's going to be kind of like the early 2010s, except the roles are reversed, right? In the early 2010s, it was whoever's coming out of the West should have won. Chicago, Vancouver was supposed to be Boston in 2011. Boston ends up winning, but then 2012 Kings, 2013 Blackhawks, 2014 Kings, 2015 Blackhawks. It took Pittsburgh kind of bringing themselves back up, and then we went on a 3-year run of Eastern teams, right? But when it was those Chicago, LA East finals, I don't know if you had the same impression. I always watched those games thinking whoever wins this is the cup winner, right? It was just that was the Stanley Cup final, and you just had the New York Rangers team to beat in 5 in the final just to make it official, right?
Yeah, you knew the winner of that Hawks Kings conference final was winning the cup.
Yeah, and that was actually the case for like 3 consecutive seasons. 2012 was like less so because to me the Rangers were the team in 2012 in the Final Four that I was kind of thinking it's these guys.
Yeah.
But then 2013 it was clear. Boston wasn't going to beat Chicago in the final. 2014, it was clear the Rangers weren't going to beat the Kings in the final. 2015, it was clear Tampa, a young Tampa team, wasn't going to beat the Blackhawks in
They
the
were
final.
exciting, but they weren't going to do it.
Yeah, no, that Tyler Johnson, Kucherov, Andre Palat line was carrying
The
them.
triplets.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that Hockey News cover with the 3 of them on it. Yeah, so yes, just because of that, James, that like it's a reasonable bet that if you win 3 rounds in the East, you should be winning the cup this year.
Fair. Totally. Moving on to, I think, probably the least exciting move of the deadline. Predators acquire Isaac Ratcliffe for future considerations.
James, like I get it, just let's go.
Hey, Ratcliffe was supposed to be a decent prospect at one point, so it's that's a thing. Sabres get Riley Stillman from Vancouver for Josh Bloom. I think Josh Bloom's like 18, isn't he?
Yeah, love it. Fired up.
Yeah, sweet.
I love it. It's awesome.
All right. Another Leafs move after their big O'Reilly Achari move. They acquire from the Chicago Blackhawks Jake McCabe, Sam Lafferty, a 5th rounder in 2024 and a 5th rounder in 2025. Both of them are conditional. It just ends up being the later of Leafs picks, I guess, something like that. And the Blackhawks get forward Joey Anderson, forward Pavel Gogolev. I've played too many years of franchise mode to not know who that is. Conditional 1st rounder in 2025 and a 2nd rounder in 2026. Leafs are reaching deep into the pick bucket for this one. And they did it. I have always been a Jake McCabe fan, going back to him dominating some World Juniors. I thought he's underachieved for the most part in his career due to his development being stunted by an awful sequence of coach after coach after coach in Buffalo. And he wasn't going to fare much better in Chicago as they were on their way out of it. So I love the trade for both teams. Chicago gets the 1st round pick is top 10 protected. That's it. So Chicago gets another 1st rounder. They get a 2nd rounder for an overperforming, I'd love to see it overperforming Sam Lafferty and then Jake McCabe. I love that. I love it for both sides. It's a great move for both teams.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like Sam Lafferty was supposed to apparently go for a 2nd rounder. That was kind of the idea. So I don't know. Like to me, it's Toronto. To me, it's about what Toronto needs on the back end, and we're gonna get to it. The Gustafson for Sandin trade, I think,
We're not
complicates
there yet.
this a little
We're
bit. No,
not
I
there
know
yet.
we're not there yet, but if that trade doesn't happen, maybe I like this one a little bit more. What I honestly am bumping into is like, let's go like again. We talked about Jake Muzzin being shut down, so honestly, I think this one, yeah. Let's put the Rasmus Sandin for Eric Gustafson trade aside. I like this a lot because Muzzin was done. And so you get a kind of a discount Jake Muzzin and Jake McCabe.
Might not even be a discount. He might flourish there.
Yeah, potentially. You get Sam Lafferty, who again, I think I was talking last podcast about me not being a huge fan of the bottom six in Toronto. So you get somebody in Lafferty who
In
played
addition
fifth.
to Achari,
Yeah, so you get 51 games this year for Lafferty, 10 goals, 21 points, and all of a sudden, yes, absolutely, you have Noel Acciari and Sam Lafferty to bolster that bottom six. Toronto, yeah, there's more trades for the Leafs, so we can touch on the Leafs later on. But yeah, I think both teams get an A for this.
awesome. Definitely. I completely agree. And then the other thing I'll note is Kyle Dubas. If the Leafs weren't to do anything, he could have been on his way out. So do these picks matter to him? Probably not. He does
Yeah,
not care what's happening in 2026.
I was gonna say Kyle Dubas right now. Like I know he's if he gets fired by Toronto, he's probably gonna get another job. But I do get a very much like he knows his days are numbered, and he knows he needs to produce something now vibe to this whole deadline for him.
My friends and I were joking about how he's on his 37th coffee of the day at 4:30 a.m. trying to find out what picks are available in what round that in 2029. He's like, all
Yeah,
right, what do we still have? What can we fit under the cap? Who can we move? And he's just sitting there. He hasn't slept in 3 days.
we'll see, man. We'll see if any of this was worth it.
So next move up, the Ducks acquire a third-round pick in 2024 from the San Jose Sharks for defensive prospect Henry Thrun. The Ducks have a lot of prospects, and not all of them are going to make it. It makes sense for them to roll the dice, grab another draft pick. Done.
Bang.
Here we go. Interesting one. Hurricanes acquire forward Jesse Puljujarvi from the Oilers for forward Patrick Puistola. I know nothing about the forward they acquired. I assume he's somewhat maybe relevant.
Yeah, 2019 third rounder from Carolina. He's having a pretty solid year in the top league in Finland, 15 goals and 38 points in 56 games. He can play either at center or on the wing. So I think I like this trade for both teams. For the Carolina Hurricanes, you get Puljujärvi, who's a pending RFA. You add another Finnish player to a very Finland heavy team already. And you just add to that forward core. Like I don't think adding a depth forward is a bad thing at all. Like you've got a deep forward core in Carolina now to add to a deep defense, and for me it's Antti Ranta, Frederick Anderson, Pyotr Kochekov, who's going to step up. And if somebody does, that team, I said last week that my Stanley Cup picks the Rangers. I actually think, as everybody's hyping up the Atlantic Division for a good reason, Boston and Tampa, Toronto is a very strong 1, 2,
The
3.
Metro's dirty.
I actually think our Stanley Cup winner comes out of the Metro.
I think the Hurricanes could be the Rangers' Achilles heel coming back for revenge after last year's playoffs.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
And then also the thing with Puljujarvi is the Hurricanes have some very talented forwards, and Puljujarvi coming into the league had very high-end skill, very highly touted prospect, drafted 4th overall. This guy was supposed to be very good. And Hurricanes going for a reclamation project. You know what I think of those. So
Yeah.
I think it was a great move. I think the Oilers move on from something they probably don't want to think about anymore. And yeah, I think it's a fresh start for Puljujarvi and a fresh start for the Oilers on that front. And the Hurricanes get a solid move. I give both teams an A on that.
Yeah, I would.
Maybe I give the Oilers a B because they didn't do it years ago when he had more value.
Yeah, but
What can you do though? You have expectations. You
yeah,
want this
like
guy to work out.
he was a 4th overall pick, and you remember out of the draft he shouldn't have been 4th, man. Like that this guy was a top 3 talent.
Yeah,
His name was being spoken with Laine and Matthews. So
yeah.
I don't actually hold that against the Oilers, because to me it was logical to cross your fingers and hope you knew what this guy could have been. But yeah, no, I think A for both teams as well. You get, for the Oilers, you get another forward prospect who hopefully you can coax into coming to play for your AHL team next year to really get a good look at him, and you get rid of Jesse Puljujarvi, who it wasn't working.
Perfect. Yeah, let's put a bow on that one. Next up, Washington Capitals continue cleaning house, acquiring a third-round pick in a to-be-determined year. I found that part interesting, from Minnesota, and they ship over Marcus Johansson. I think Minnesota is going to make the playoffs. I think Johansson's a really solid utility player. He's been a solid utility player a lot in this league so far. And yeah, I think it was clean work by Brian McClellan and the Capitals, just getting more picks for expiring deals, which they continue to do. And when they know they don't have a team to compete, which I think is just perfect. You know, you have to know when to bow out. And yeah, Wild get a solid utility player. All I have to say.
Yeah, no, don't need to add. Go ahead.
All right, big fish time, or show time rather. Patrick Kane lands on Broadway. Patrick Kane is officially a New York Ranger after much time with it seeming like he was going to be a Ranger, wasn't going to be a Ranger after they acquired Tarasenko. He was going to be again, finally is. Blackhawks were handcuffed under a slab of cement for this deal. There was nothing they could do. The Rangers were the only team he was going to. They had to get something. It had to happen. The full deal is the Rangers acquire forward Patrick Kane, 50% retained, and defenseman Cooper Zek, who I imagine we will never hear of again. I apologize, Cooper Zek, if you end up being an impact player in the NHL at some time. I've just never heard of him before. Yeah, that's that end. Blackhawks acquire a conditional second round pick in 2023. It becomes a 2024 or 2025 first rounder if the Rangers win 2 playoff rounds this spring, which, you know, I think is very, very possible, as we've talked about lots. If it's 2024, it's top 10 protected, which, you know, I don't really think that matters. I don't think the Rangers are going to have a top 10 draft pick at all. And then they also get a 4th round pick in 2025, lottery ball, I guess. And defenseman Andy Walensky and Vili Saryavi. Saryavi? I've said his name before. Saryavi. I don't know. Doesn't matter. What do you think? I believe we've said lots about this. They were handcuffed under a slab of cement. There's nothing they could have done.
No. I actually Rangers get an A plus, but it's not even really on them. It's on the fact that Patrick Kane told the Blackhawks, "Please trade me, and please trade me only to the New York Rangers." I'm sure
Patrick Kane won the trade.
Patrick Kane won the trade, absolutely, and the Rangers, like, okay,
Yeah.
like the Rangers get this guy for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say. Chicago couldn't have done anything else. They did right by Kane, which was good. Team legend. I think he retires a top 3 Blackhawk of all time.
And I think he's the #1 American player of all time.
I would be inclined to agree with you.
Because who else is it? Mike Modano or Brian Leetch?
You know what, man? Let's give Jonathan Quick some love, but I digress.
Yeah, I agree. He's in the top 5.
He's in the top 5.
It's hard to rank the goalies, you know?
2 Stanley Cups. LA Kings do not win 2 Stanley Cups without him.
No, they don't win 1 without him.
Yeah, no, he dragged them in 2012. Like, that 2012 Kings team, it was strong, it was clicking, but like, it was Drew Doughty, Justin Williams' time in 2014, right? Doughty and Williams, like, best hockey of both of their careers, I think, in 2014. Doughty, the whole 13-14 season for Doughty, including the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, which he dominated. That was awesome. But 2012, Jonathan Quick was absolutely unbeatable. He
redefined the goaltending position as soon as playoffs hit. It was wild.
Yeah, he was. I remember that whole Stanley Cup final. I think he got beat clean once. Like, every goal except for one was like deflections or just scrambles in front. They just forced by him.
Which the Devils were good at.
Yeah, that was that New Jersey's team DNA, right? It was Ilya Kovalchuk and Zach Parise were their skill guys. Everybody else was going to go will the puck into the back of the net.
Yeah, I think that's really all we have to say on this trade, other than I can't wait to see Patrick Kane competing hard in the playoffs again. That is pure hockey excitement. That is absolute showtime. I'm stoked. Moving on, the Rangers acquire future considerations from the Predators for Austin Rushoff. Sorry, I think that's the most irrelevant deal at the deadline. All right. Back to now to the one we were talking about earlier. Maple Leafs acquired defenseman Eric Gustafson and a first-round pick in 2023, originally belonging to the Bruins. That's the one that moved in the Orlov deal for defenseman Rasmus Sandin. I know you want to continue your discussion from earlier. Let's hear it.
This is bad. And again, I like Rasmus Sandin a lot. I'll preface this with that. I think he has the potential to be an excellent number 3 defenseman, like a superb number 3, like the perfect number 3 defenseman. He's a good puck mover. He's got offensive ability in him. His defensive game has improved every year he's played, like continually. And again, I'm bumping in for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, you get a first rounder from you get a first rounder from Washington. So that makes this 10 times easier to swallow. What are they doing with Eric Gustafson? Like, you know what I can honestly, James, you know what the best use for Gustafson would be for Toronto is if they play him.
And second power play.
I was gonna say literally 4th line left wing, and he can play on the second power play unit. Yes,
He's money on the power play.
he is unbelievable, but he can't play defense.
Didn't he have like 60 something points for the Hawks that one year?
Yes, but he can't play D. He had, exactly 60 in 18, 19, but he cannot play defense. Like, it's an inability of his.
So looking at this from an outward perspective, the Maple Leafs acquired Eric Gustafson, Jake McCabe, and Sam Lafferty for Sandin and a second round pick.
They gave up a first to Chicago too, but I guess you're saying canceled.
Yeah, because they recouped the first.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's a first that's coming sooner because Dubas doesn't think he's going to be around for long.
Yeah, that's fair.
So he's like, oh, this first is actually here. So I'm showing management that I'm preparing for now and the immediate future. I think it's genius. And I also think Sandin was plateauing a bit. And they also wanted maybe someone else. Spice it up. It wasn't working. That's how I feel on that one. Do you have anything else to add before we move on?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It depends what that Washington pick turns into, right? Because there's a ton of teams in the East that could make the playoffs, could not. You know what I mean? And if the Leafs get like a 10 to 12 in the 2023 NHL draft, like, oh my God, that's unreal. Like, take it and laugh, man. If you're Toronto, you get to pick 10 to 12 in this draft.
Like, no, it's the Bruins pick.
Oh, okay.
You thought it was the Caps pick?
I thought it was Washington's pick.
No.
Oh, that makes it a lot worse then.
Yeah, no.
There's too many trade conditions, man. It's my head is.
And then the other thing too, I love it for the Capitals. You trade a late first rounder and an expiring contract on a guy who's irrelevant to your team's future for a guy who's going to replace Dmitry Orlov as your number 3 now and leading into the future. They refresh that decor. I love that. And he has a really solid D partner in Nick Jensen to play with going forward.
Yeah, Nick Jensen just signed an extension too. Don't forget.
Yeah, exactly. You get Sandin, you sign that extension. Done. Beautiful. You refresh it. Because Alexeyev wasn't developing all that much.
Yeah, I think for Washington, it's a good deal. I do like it.
I couldn't move on without giving Washington an A on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was focusing too much on the Leafs. Like, I agree with you. Washington did very well. I think even just in the Orlov stuff, because like Dmitry Orlov, first, second, third, after Chikrin went for first in 2 seconds. Like,
hold on, we're not there yet.
I know, but just let's take the comp, right? Like, let's
hold your horses.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the third of the Leafs moves. In this episode alone, they trade Pierre Engvall to the Islanders for a 3rd round pick in 2024. I liked Engvall. He had a really long neck.
Okay. Such a random detail.
Well, look at him. Look at him skate. He looks like a giraffe.
Yeah, he's a tall guy at 6'5".
I
Um,
honestly thought he was a solid grinder in their playoffs last year. I thought he made some nice plays and worked really hard. I haven't really watched the Leafs enough this year to have a good enough read on him, but they're refreshing and swapping that bottom six out. So I guess you make room for the new guys.
yeah, I like it for the Islanders. Third round pick. A third round pick to me is like just enough where it's like, okay, you got to get something for it, but
Yeah.
not too much where the something needs to be like a lot, right? Like you don't just give away third round picks, but I think a third rounder for Pierre Engvall is fair value for both teams. Toronto just picked up Lafferty and Achari, which are more what they need. I'm not saying they're better players than Engvall necessarily. It's more just what that bottom six needed. Um, and so yeah, A for both teams. I like it a lot on both sides. Toronto gets another draft pick back as well, right?
After shooting them everywhere.
Yeah, so good to recoup some of the draft capital too.
Exactly, especially if they're moving picks in like 2025 and 2026. Again, this is what I said earlier. This is a pick in 2024. Maybe that's more relevant to Dubas. Because like when a GM loses their job, you're gonna look back at their track record. Look at these guys he drafted. Were they good picks? Were they a swing and a miss? Even if Dubas gets fired right after making these picks, that's not bad. That's not bad. You have more things in your repertoire to look at. It's adding to the resume basically. All right, now for Leafs move number 4. As we said, Kyle Dubas doesn't sleep. They acquired defenseman Luke Shen for a third-round pick in this year's draft. I love that trade for Toronto. Love it. I think we said that this was going to happen last episode. Did I not say Luke Shen to Toronto?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, good deal. Shen is a good defenseman. Like he's good at, he's not gonna put up points, right? He's not gonna get the Toronto Maple Leafs a point per game in the playoffs, but he's gonna be solid. He's gonna be somebody they
He's
can
going to
put
bang
in.
bodies.
Yeah, he's gonna be somebody they can put in almost any situation. He returns to Toronto, was of course a 5th overall pick by Toronto in the 2008 NHL entry draft. By the way, Tampa Bay asked Toronto for Luke Shen in exchange for the Victor Hedman pick, and Toronto said no. There's your there's your daily dose of Leafs failure.
Hmm.
But
Who
yeah,
sourced that? How do we know this?
pardon.
How do we know
Oh,
this?
I have no idea. I just this is it's been it had been it might have been a Steve Dangle thing. It might have been a Steve
Yeah.
Dangle thing.
Yeah. He,
Um,
he usually has pretty good sources.
yeah, no, he usually knows what he's talking about. Yeah, so A for both teams. I think Vancouver gets Shen. Yeah, they get a third for Shen. I would have loved a second. That was wishful thinking from the start. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we do in Vancouver sports media is we assume that Tyler Mott's going to get a second round pick for the team.
oh, he should have getting a fourth for Mott. That was way too low. Like he's I've expressed my Tyler Mott love numerous times. I love
If he
him.
had another year on his deal at a very low cap hit, it would have been that. If a team
Yeah,
could get him for 2 runs.
I don't. Yeah, a second for Mott would have been a lot. I thought a fourth was too little. I would have liked third and fifth kind of package, right? Something like that. That was kind of what I was crossing my fingers for. But
You are a Canucks
yeah,
fan.
yeah, and he was like my favorite player, right? He still
Yeah.
is. You know what I mean? So that doesn't that contributes to it too. It's not just me, because right now I'm a Canucks fan, but right now I'd take a seventh for JT Miller, right? But like,
Yeah. Have fun with your power play after he's gone.
I
Um
want them to lose, James. This team is not winning.
okay, well that's a conversation for a different day.
Well,
Uh
it's a conversation for later because we have a Philip Hronik trade to talk about that I am just ready for already. But
yeah, you're
let's
really not good at the whole holding your horses thing as we purge through this list.
dude, like I'm also hungry, by the way, so that doesn't
Me too. I
help
haven't eaten
anything.
yet today.
Me neither. So let's keep going.
All right, so next up, a very significant trade for the Edmonton Oilers. They acquired defenseman Matthias Ekholm and a 6th-round pick in 2024 from the Nashville Predators for defenseman Tyson Barrie, forward prospect Reed Schaefer, a 1st-round pick in 2023, and a 4th-rounder in 2024. So they downgrade their 4th-round pick slightly. Yeah, an Oilers fan coworker of mine really did not like this deal after he saw it, and as the day went on, he liked it a bit more. I think the Predators really did well here. Really did well here. Reed Schaefer's decent, isn't he? Because Reed Schaefer not a solid prospect.
He's okay. Like, I think it was a
Like
reach.
he could be like a third liner.
Yeah, no, he was a first rounder. He was a 32nd overall
Yeah.
pick. Like, I don't hate him. I don't love him.
What did he do to you?
Nothing, nothing, man, nothing at all. But I think the Oilers. I think this is way too much, man. I think
And
Nashville.
I
This is the
think
second team.
Tyson Barrie, if Nashville's smart, I think he gets flipped by noon tomorrow.
Yeah,
By noon Friday, by the trade deadline rather. Quick reminder: we are recording this Thursday, as we've said. Um, yeah, the first round. If it was Schaefer and a first and a fourth even, and then they get the sixth back, sweet. But then the money doesn't work out. You don't want to subtract from your forwards. They want to give Evan Bouchard more breathing room. I would have liked it more if they got an extra little something or maybe didn't pay the fourth round pick and moved Tyson Barrie away. But the Predators have all the leverage there. They say, you want Matthias Ekholm? You have to give us Barrie to make the money work. Sorry.
I don't know, man. Like, it's just he's under contract at 6.25 until 25, 26. Ekholm is too. Like, I don't love it for the Oilers. Like,
Well, hey. The Oilers, the Oilers got the Predators to retain 4% of Ekholm's
oh,
salary.
great. Thank you so much. Like,
Tidy work from Ken Holland.
James, like, they could win the cup this year, right?
The Oilers?
Yeah. Um, but to me, I think this deadline too, because they got Bukestad, which again we'll get to. Sorry for James, feel free to
Oh,
call me out. They get Bukestad,
my
they get
OCD is just
Ekholm.
raging right now.
Um, they get Ekholm for Barry Schaefer first and a fourth. James, honestly, man, I think we're living something that we're gonna look back in retrospect and say Ken Holland wasted this chance for the Oilers this season. Like, McDavid playing as good as good as him and Draisaitl were in the playoffs last year. Zach Hyman's playing unbelievable hockey. Ryan Nugent Hopkins is playing unbelievable hockey. Just dropped Justin
And
Hall in
he
a
had one
fight.
of the
Yeah, just
that was like one of
absolutely.
the best fights I've
Yeah,
seen.
he killed him. Um,
Those uppercuts, man.
yeah,
Oh,
like, man, Justin Hall. Wow. Yeah, that was a
I,
good scrap by Nuge. He's really helping my fantasy team this year as well.
mhm.
Um, but honestly, to me, we are watching this team be like, you would this package have got Vejmelka out of Arizona? Yes, is my that's my bet.
But then their blue line's still a joke.
Yeah, but at least you have a goalie, man. Jack Campbell is like Jack Campbell has holes in his chest. You shoot the puck and it goes through him, right? Stuart Skinner's looked fine, but
Fine.
fine, right? Campbell's looked awful, and Campbell's on such a bad contract. So I just I don't know, man. Like, this Oilers team, to me, this is, and at least, like,
Blow it up.
no. Like, I think they're,
I mean, I want substantial one for one hockey trades.
yeah, I can see that. It's just you don't want to mess with that top six, right? Because it's working. Evander
No,
Kane.
don't. Vander Kane's filthy
Um,
right now.
yeah, like, I don't know. To me, I don't think Edmonton is going to win a cup with his core, and I think it's mismanagement that has caused them not to.
This Oilers fan that I referred to was kind of saying he wished the Oilers had moved Yamamoto in one of these deals instead of Puljujärvi.
Yeah, I like Kyler Yamamoto. I am starting to kind of like lose my he's gonna be a good player or a good top six forward, because, like, remember Yamamoto when he like showed up, like,
Yeah, I picked him in fantasy as my sleeper pick 2 years in a row.
yeah, 26 points in 27 games in 1920 after getting a call up from Bakersfield. Like, he looked good. Solid 41 points in 81 games last year. Again, he's been okay. 6 goals, 14 points in 38 games this season. I
Oh,
think,
that's okay.
yeah, I think you could have got somebody. to really take a chance on this guy.
Doesn't he make money? Like, doesn't he have a decent
Yeah,
contract?
he's at 3-1. That's the
Uh,
only kind of thing you're bumping into. 3-1
it
this
is,
year and next.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. To me, James, like this Oilers team.
I think that's a contract you got to get rid of and like fill a hole the way Toronto's filling with an Achari Lafferty type. Someone who's just going to come in and work.
Yeah, yeah, like I think a third rounder for Shen and then this package for Vejmelka would have done the Oilers way better.
Oh, if
And
they could have got Luke Shen, that would have been sick for them.
yeah, like even like because okay,
But
Vancouver got a
would
third.
Vancouver have traded them in division? There's that unwritten rule there.
Yeah, yes, you're right. If Vancouver was smart, they would have because third and a fourth, right? Like
Yeah.
um that third and a fourth should have got him because Toronto just gave him a third. So I think that would have been a better use of assets for the Oilers.
Maybe Edmonton didn't want Shen. We never That's the problem. That's the biggest problem with being a hockey fan and someone who analyzes hockey. Unless you're a full-on insider and you have people in the room, that's the worst part. We don't know what these people think of these players. I can look all day and say, "Man, I really wish this team made a push for this player. Why didn't they do this?" But we don't know how they're analyzing that player. We don't know what their pro scouts think of that. We don't know what past relationships are like. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem in following sports.
Yeah, that's fair. It's more than fair, man. Like it's and that's what you're gonna bump into. I just
And that's what we'll keep bumping into the entirety of our lives. We'll be 73 years old and being like, they should have gone for Zetterberg's grandkid. And then they'll be like, well, no.
all right. Next.
Next up, next up. That one took a lot of steam out of me, honestly.
I'm still just hungry, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm lacking steam. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, Minnesota Wild acquire forward Gustav Nyquist, 50% retained from the Columbus Blue Jackets. More tidy work from Bill Guerin. This guy, he literally got draft picks for taking on a cap hit, and then he sends a worse draft pick to Columbus to get a player at half of his contract. He's weaponizing cap space. This is beautiful. This is artwork at its finest. I'm almost willing to call Bill Guerin hockey's renaissance man.
Did you listen to his 32 Thoughts interview?
I'm 80% of the way through it, and it's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
Yeah, I
interesting.
finished it up. I finished it up today. Yeah, it is.
Maybe we'll
It's
talk about
good.
it a little bit after we record the back end of this pod.
Yeah, I've always liked Nyquist a lot. I think at this point he's 33 years old. He's a good middle six forward still, though, right? 18 goals and 53 points in 82 games with Columbus last year. He's 10, 22 points in 48 games this year. Like it's, this is a vet. This is somebody who I think could help Minnesota. Like you said, it's and they got him for nothing. So take it.
Do
Take
you
it
remember
off.
in the early 2010s when Nyquist and Tatar were the future of the Red Wings, and then looking at how many teams they've played for since then and where they are now?
Yeah, they were good, man.
They were sick.
Yeah.
All right, next up. This one made me turn off my phone. I
Oh,
was angry. I
what
was I was fuming.
was it? Eller?
No,
No.
no. Quit. I guess you're guessing. You could.
Yeah,
You're.
so
I don't have
get
to
to
tell you.
it. Get to it.
The Kings acquire defenseman Vladislav
Oh,
Gavrikov and goaltender Jonas Korpisalo for a third-round pick in 2024, a conditional first in 2023. That if the Kings miss the playoffs, it's a second rounder. And goaltender Jonathan Quick. Rob Blake did that team dirty. He did Jonathan Quick dirty. Send out Cal Peterson. He's not working out. I don't like this at all. Don't even get Corpusalo. Ride Phoenix Copley. I don't care. I don't care. I don't like it. I'm throwing all hockey logic out the window right here because realistically, at Quick's age and with the cap hits, the money, the picks involved, this makes sense. I get it. But from a moral standpoint, a human to human thing, a locker room thing, Rob Blake's experience in the NHL thing. I hate this. I hate everything about this move. Everything.
It was an awesome trade for the Kings, though, hockey wise, James. Like
Shut
it
up.
was.
I don't want to
But
hear it.
Columbus wasn't taking Peterson because he had 2 more years at $5 million after this. He's been playing for the Ontario Reign in the AHL. He has a 2.71 goals against there.
And
It was,
also, his contracts in the minors not currently affecting this trade nearly as much.
yeah, they are not, they would not have traded for Peterson. I know what you're saying. And
Trade Phoenix Copley. I don't care.
well, and you know what? Honestly, James, I feel a lot better about it now because Quick is
Uh,
no. Are we gonna seriously, dude? Come on,
no,
let's
just
just
do it. Just
let's
do it.
just do it now. So Quick got traded from Columbus to Vegas, and he stays close to California. um, he gets to go play for a team that's gonna contend, right? Like he's gonna end up being Vegas's backup this year. Aidan Hill has been solid, but it's gonna be quick sitting behind Thompson in the playoffs.
And if Thompson gets injured, it could be the Quickie show.
Yeah, I it's a lot easier of a pill to swallow with the context that Quick gets to not live in Ohio and move to Vegas instead,
Hey, but
right?
Johnny Gaudreau says Ohio's phenomenal. Leave
Yeah,
Ohio alone.
and the Columbus Blue Jackets are very successful this year.
Yeah.
So I actually, honestly, yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that you're right, Jonathan Quick, apparently there were like a lot of tears in that locker room, which is
A lot of hugging and a lot of tears and a
yeah,
lot of not wanting to leave the room, a lot of just wanting to stay there.
yeah. So you feel for Jonathan Quick because of that, but the LA Kings, this is a great trade for them. I'm sorry, like a first and a third with Quick, who, he's way past being a value adding piece to
And
this
by the way,
trade.
it's going to be a first because the Kings are going to make it. And also, I mislabeled the condition. It's 2 seconds if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're gonna make the playoffs, so it's gonna be a first in 2023. But to me, I've always liked Jonas Corposalo. He had a not very good 21-22 season. He's been way better this year for Columbus. Like
Yeah.
that 3.13 goals against doesn't look good, but when you take into account how bad the Blue Jackets are and the fact that he's got a 913 save percentage, like come on.
Yeah.
Right? So I think Corposalo gives the Kings their solid goal. Remember how good he was in the bubble? He was a stud against the Tampa Bay
Yeah, that
Lightning.
game was nuts.
Yeah. And Gavrikov is an effective defenseman. He's probably a pure rental at 2.8. They're not gonna re-sign him. He also wants to test free agency apparently, so he's not staying in LA. But a first round pick to get Gavrikov as a rental and to get Corposalo, I like it.
Can we move on?
Yeah, I know we can.
That one's
It's
a
sad.
heartbreaker for me.
Yeah.
We've covered anyone who's listened to even almost every episode of this podcast knows how big of a Jonathan Quick fan I am. It just hurt. It was like I saw a Twitter post that was like watching Kane and Quick skate off into the distance, and the caption was "Childhood gone." Like I was close to tears. But yeah, moving on. This one made me happier, a lot happier. Colorado Avalanche acquire forward Lars Eller from the Washington Capitals at 31% retained for a second round pick in 2025. I like this deal a lot. Jared Bednar said after the deal, I believe it was Bednar. It could have been Sakic. I think it was Bednar though. He said he's the perfect third line center, which shows me that he is confident in JT Compher as the second line center. Compher has been having a very good season, career year by his standards, and is looking like he can kind of continue his development, kind of late bloom his way through it, and I love that. Compher's been playing with Mikko Rantanen a lot, and they've just had really solid chemistry. Love to see it. Yeah, I think as Colorado's wingers continue to come back and become healthy, my fingers are crossed Gabriel Landeskog actually get some reps in before playoffs. Yeah, I think it was a really solid move for Colorado. I was really, 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 really hoping that somehow, some way, there was a trade out there that could get Nick Schmaltz to Colorado. The money just doesn't work. It's just not a thing. Sam Girard would have had to go the other way, and Colorado does very clearly not want to break up its decor, which I totally understand. As shown last year, it was the best decor in the league last year. Maybe not this year with some guys injured, underperforming, whatever. I think not breaking that up, not subtracting from the team when adding a very, very solid center who has scored some big goals in the playoffs for the Caps on the way to the Cup. I like it. I'm happy with it. Eller has a really solid two-way game as well. Really fits the mold in Colorado.
Yeah, you're the Avs fan. I was gonna let you kind of take it. You did, and I think that's all we need to say. I like Lars Eller a lot. He's a very effective third line center. Always has been. Playoff pedigree, playoff experience. 18 points in 24 playoff games with the Washington Capitals in 2018.
Filling in for that Nick Backstrom injury.
Yeah, he was great. He was phenomenal in those playoffs. That Lars Eller, Devontae Smith-Pelly, Jay Beagle, Brett Connolly, like depth group for Washington won them that cup. As good as Ovechkin and Kuznetsov were, they were unreal.
Totally. Only other thing I have to say about that, just another piece of clean work from Brian McClellan. Like he's shipping off all the pending free agents, accumulating prospects and draft picks. I love it.
Yeah, I think getting a second for Eller is good too because he's a 33-year-old rental, right?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I think for Colorado it's not too much to give up to address a need, and for Washington it's a lot to get back. So Colorado gets an A-, Washington gets an A+.
Next up, Carolina Hurricanes add to their already dangerous puck-moving blue line, adding Shane Gostisbehere for a third-round pick in 2026. I thought Gostisbehere was going to get a better return than that. I think the Coyotes should have done better.
I'm sorry. Much like Eric Gustafsson, Shane Gostisbehere cannot play defense.
He's better at defense than Eric Gustafsson.
He is. Sorry. Yeah, he is.
Shane Gostisbehere is actually... have you watched him play for the Coyotes much?
Not too much for Arizona.
Okay. I'd like you to retract your statement because his defensive game has really changed a lot since being the run and gun guy under Dave Hackstall. Yes, he is not a two-way defenseman. He's an offensive D, but he is somewhat a bit more responsible in his own end than previous days.
Yeah.
He's not a liability.
No. Sorry. And Gustafsson is a liability. Gostisbehere is not a liability. I could have given you that from the start. You're right. I thought the return was going to be better. And again, it might have just been, I don't know why my brain was stuck on it. I thought Vejmelka and Gostisbehere were going to go somewhere together. And I thought it was going to be Edmonton. I thought they were both going to the Oilers. And again, objectively, that would have been a better trade for Edmonton to give that package to Arizona for Gostisbehere and Vejmelka than Ekholm. I like him as a defenseman. I think you need to staple a very defensively responsible right-handed D to his pairing to make him, again, he's not a liability. You're not playing with four forwards, but he's by no means somebody who should be trusted against, who's Carolina going to play in the playoffs, right? Like the Rangers in the second round, you cannot have Gostisbehere stuck on the ice.
Playing with Brett Pesce? Oof.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I like that as a pairing a lot. You cannot have Shane Gostisbehere and somebody that isn't like Brett Pesce against Panarin, Zibanejad, and Kane, right? No. Which is coaching and matchup and game management and all that. So it's going to be on as much as anything, Brindamore. And yeah.
So, just to summarize there, Carolina's blue line is now Slavin, Burns, Pesce, Gostisbehere, Shea, and it doesn't even matter who the last guy is. I could be the last guy.
Bro, they love Jalen Chatfield,
They do love Jalen Chatfield. Brindamore is a huge Jalen Chatfield fan.
I never saw it with Chatfield in Vancouver, but he's good for him.
Well, speaking of Vancouver, on to our next trade. Filip Hronek comes to Vancouver from Detroit along with a fourth-round pick in 2023. In exchange for a conditional first rounder in 2023 and a second rounder in 2023. That first rounder is the one that the Canucks acquired in the Bo Horvat trade. So it is top 12 protected. If the Islanders were to have a top 12 pick, it moves on to a 2024 first rounder, which is not protected. So if the Islanders miss playoffs 2 years in a row. Ooh.
You want me to be honest here?
Yeah, I'll be before you're honest, can I give you my take?
Yeah, go.
Okay. So As I sometimes do when the Canucks make a deal, I immediately go to Twitter because Canucks Twitter is a violent, toxic hellhole of people who shouldn't follow sports because they are just utterly anhedonic. Anhedonic means you cannot be pleased with anything. You cannot enjoy any of the finer things in life. So I went there. I watched. I scrolled. They were a joke. They wouldn't shut up. They were so annoying. You know what I have to say? I don't care about you being unsatisfied with the direction of this team. The rest of the other moves this deadline and this year have all been really, really solid. And then I think what this does, I mean, I'm not all, most of them. I think what this does is, you know what? Phil Peronic is not going to automatically make the Canucks surge towards the playoffs. You still have your own first round pick. And to top it off, you have a player who can be a dynamite right-handed defenseman in your top four. I think Phil Peronic is very solid. Anyone who's watched him play a lot knows he is a very good player. And how much depth of the Canucks lacked on the right side in this era of Vancouver. Their right side's been a joke. I love Luke Shen. The list stops there. That's it. Ethan Bear is a good player. Sorry, what else is there? Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
If this trade is made in the summer of 2022, when the Canucks roster kind of looked like they were going to sneak into the playoffs, right? I had them in the wild card spot in the Pacific Division. I had the two Alberta teams in LA ahead of them. I had them fourth in the Pacific. I had them sneaking into a wild card ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights, which was my mistake. I think I had Vancouver, Vegas as the two wild card teams. Now, I would have liked it a lot. I love Filip Hronek, man. And you're right about him addressing the Canucks' right-handed defense problem. Like 38 points in 60 games this year. Like he's offensively capable and he's defensively good. Like he is a very good two-way defenseman. It's like you're right that he's exactly what the Canucks needed. It's just James, like
Exactly what they needed.
James. It to me, it's not the trade, man. I know you're gonna sit here and like I know what you're saying about the. By the way, I completely agree with you about Canucks Twitter. Like I don't think I've personally used Twitter in like maybe close to a year and a half regularly. It's just not my thing. Dude, like you can't it's again like I anything I'm about to say I've said it already about the Canucks. They're chasing their own tail. This is another move that is telling you that the only thing this ownership group cares about is barely sneaking into the playoffs, getting your games 3 and 4 of home ice ticket sale revenue, getting spanked by whoever's the 1 or the 2 seed in the Western Conference, and then going home, right? Again, I've said this on this podcast since 2009, 14 years of Stanley Cup champions. One team has won without a first or second overall pick on their roster. The recipe for success is to suck, get great players, and then build your team from there. The Canucks refuse to suck, right? They're bad right now, but they're bad by accident, which is the worst thing you can be, is bad by accident. So to me, the way this team is right now, the way this roster is constructed, like let's say the Islanders barely missed the playoffs. You have a 12th to 16th overall window there. Danielson, Sandin Pellikka, Andrew Crystal could have dropped that far. You've got players in this draft that would have absolutely helped the Canucks so much more when the Canucks are going to be good, right? The Canucks are not winning with Filip Hronek in his prime. They are not going to do that. Filip Hronek will be 30 years old by the time this team is ready to be anything. And that's
What's
if the
wrong with 30
management.
years old?
Yeah, but James, I would take okay, let's say they draft Danielson. Okay, just for instance, let's say they draft Danielson with that Islanders pick. I would take a 22-year-old Danielson over a 30-year-old Hronek at that point because Vancouver's bad, but they don't think they're bad. That's the worst part, is that nobody on the Canucks knows how god awful they are.
You good? Rant done.
C- for Vancouver. It's only not an F because of how good Hronek actually is. It's just the wrong trade at the wrong time.
I'm just gonna make one more comment on it before we move on. I think Hronek is a semi-foundational piece in Vancouver and something they require. and he's not going to move the needle enough for them to not suck. If
Yeah,
they're gonna suck, they'll suck with Hronik.
honestly, 100%. 100%. You're right. So to me, it was just a total mistake by a team that should be tearing down or rebuilding, and they refused to.
When a good player becomes available, if Detroit calls you and says, "Hey, want a semi-foundational piece because we have to sign Dylan Larkin to an extension," I think you look at it and you say, "What else is going to be out there?"
Okay. Hand up, because what's the next trade? Or two later, because 45 minutes after Vancouver gave up a first and a second for Hronik, Ottawa gave up a first and 2 seconds for Jacob Chychrun. So you cannot tell me that Filip Hronik is worth 1 second round pick less than Jacob Chychrun, which again means
Jacob Chychrun went for a lot less than he was supposed to, so I feel like
okay,
it's hard to compare that.
okay, well, no, but you can, because it means that Canucks management did not have their finger on the pulse of this market. That's what it means.
They couldn't
Right?
get Jacob Chychrun. They're already paying too much to their left side.
Hronik's at 4-4, Chychrun's at 4-6. I
Yeah,
I
but
understand what you mean, that
right side,
Hughes,
left
Ekman,
side.
Larson. Yeah, and to me, like the only reason that they are is again because of awful mismanagement. Because there is no way in a million years you
Previous
should ever be
management.
making James. To me, it's one and the same because Aquilini's pulling the strings. Aquilini's pulling the strings. It's the same thing. And so Ekman Larson was a so I guess yeah, they couldn't do something better because of previous mistakes. That doesn't give the team a pass because the previous mistakes are still mistakes made in the same vein of trying to compete when you're not even close to it.
Moving on. Um, we might as well address the Chychrun trade.
Yeah, F
Uh,
for
so
Arizona, right off
so
the top.
Senators acquired Jacob Chychrun from the Arizona Coyotes for a second round pick in 2026, a conditional second round pick in 2024, and a conditional first round pick in 2023. If the Senators reach the the first round pick will become a 2024 first rounder if it's in the top 5. If the Senators reach the 2023 Eastern Conference Final, the second rounder, originally from the Washington Capitals, becomes a top 10 protected first rounder in 2024. If it's in the top 10, it becomes an unprotected 2025 first round pick. There's a lot of conditions there, but it's going to be a first, a second, and a second.
Yeah,
The other stuff is just little magic beans saying, "Ooh, this could be better."
A
Tidy work
plus
from
for Ottawa.
tidy work from Pierre Dorian.
Like
Unreal.
Arizona gets a 0, man. And you know what? Listen, because I know what you're going to say. It's whatever the market was for him. They couldn't get a better deal. It's like, okay, you're right. Jacob Chychrun is under contract at 4.6 until the end of the 24-25 season. So I know he wanted to go. I know he wasn't playing, but you didn't have to move him now. It wasn't like his contract was expiring and you were going to lose him for nothing. Okay. You also could have moved him at so many points before this, right? I understand the injury concerns, but you cannot tell me, I absolutely flat out refuse to believe that there was not a better offer than this on the table. I think the Arizona Coyotes got greedy and it bit them in the butt, and they don't deserve any sort of pass on this, because this is a player who had all the value in the world, and you just didn't take what I assume was a much better package on the table. There, like you cannot tell me that the Arizona Coyotes did not receive a better package than this for Jacob Chychrun in the last 3 years.
I just want to know what the Kings offer that fell apart in the last couple minutes was.
Yeah, that too, because like LA
Because
has a ton of good players and
reports
prospects.
said that one was minutes away from being done.
Yeah.
It was a phone
Well,
call away. It was
well,
like getting ready to call Chychrun.
and the fact that Ottawa swings this without moving 20-year-old or 21-year-old Stutzla, Kachuk, DeBrincat, Batherson, Pinto, Sanderson, Matthew Joseph, down the list, Eric Brandstrom, Josh Norris. You've got a ton of great young players, even somebody like Jacob Bernard Docker, Lassie Thompson, all this, Ridley Greig,
Hey,
like all
Pinto.
Jane, I said Pinto, but yes, Pinto is that was the guy I thought for sure was going back in this trade.
Yep.
Um, to me, Ottawa, Pierre
Tyler
Dorian
Boucher
deserves.
even.
Yeah, Pierre
Get
Dorian
him
does,
thrown in. Just get him thrown in the deal.
and it would have made it look a lot better for Arizona.
Yep.
Um, oh my god, the amount of credit Pierre Dorian deserves here, and the amount of like, who again, Coyotes just, I actually like what they've been doing, honestly, dude,
Me
because
too.
it's a team that knows they're awful and knows they have to build through the draft, which is that if you're not going to win the cup, that's what you do, in my opinion.
Yep.
But they've mismanaged this Chikrin situation completely. I think they traded him at the one wrong time again. Like, and $4.6 million would not have been that hard to fit in the offseason. It would not
No.
have. You cannot tell me it would have. So why do it now? And why not do it before? Why not do it later? I just it was a mind-blowing trade, and it was mind-blowing to me that other teams didn't step in and offer, like you said, offer rather than a first and 2 seconds, offer a first, 2 seconds, and even an A- prospect, right? Like,
Not
look at the
even
LA.
that. Like a dude, a B prospect.
Yeah, yeah. Because to me, Tyler Boucher is a B prospect. So, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or a couple C prospects. Give me some lottery balls. Give me some 19-year-olds picked in the 4th and 5th round.
yeah. No, absolutely. It blows my mind. I cannot wrap my head around what the Arizona Coyotes are thinking here.
Moving on. From those two large defenseman trades. LA Kings acquire the rights to goaltender Eric Portillo, very solid goaltending prospect from the Sabres for a 3rd-round pick in 2023. Interesting move. I like that one. That was a sneaky one that just kind of blended in with all the crazy stuff.
Yeah, Portillo. University of Michigan is not as good this year as they were last year. They're still a very good team, don't get me wrong, in the NCAA. Eric Portillo's game took a step back this year. He looked like my God, man, he looked like a stud last year in Michigan at the University of Michigan. He hasn't looked quite as good this year, but
Goaltending
LA,
development is almost never linear.
no, never is. But for the Sabres, I understand why you're trading him. If you are trading his rights, you obviously tried to sign him and couldn't.
Mhm.
So you get a 3rd-rounder out of it, which is fine. He was a 3rd-rounder to begin with.
Great work for the Sabres.
Yeah, you already have Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Devon Levi in the system, so I think a third A+ goaltending prospect might have been a little bit of a glut there, or a surplus. I don't know, whatever the
Surplus.
word surplus would have been a too much of a surplus in that position, a log jam, if you will, in that position. And the Kings get a goaltending prospect that they're gonna cross their fingers they can get signed. He's 22 years old, right? This isn't an 18-year-old. He's 22. He could very well be in an LA Kings jersey. I assume he's going to return to Michigan for his 4th year next year, or the year after.
All right, so for the next one, I'm going to do this one in a bit of an interesting way. I'm going to go over the Penguins' sequence of moves. They
Sure.
dropped Kasperi Kapanen through waivers days ago now. Ended up in St. Louis, claimed. Dropped Brock McGinn through waivers, unclaimed. Brock McGinn is making almost $3 million, I believe. And I believe they also dropped Archibald through waivers. I think that was the 3rd player. Then they sent off Teddy Bluger to the Vegas Golden Knights, who, as reported by my diehard Penguins fan friend, has not been good this year at all. He has been part of a mess in the Penguins' bottom 6 where it's just not good. There's nothing good about it. And they acquire from Vegas a 3rd-round pick in 2024 and defenseman Peter DeLiberator, who, assuming just to make the contract numbers work. And then they go and acquire Mikael Granlund from the Predators for a 2nd-round pick in 23. Granlund is signed for what, 2 more years after this one? Might be 3 more years after this one. Granlund is not a 3rd-line center. Their 3rd line is their biggest weakness. Granlund is a top 6 forward and will play best in the top 6.
He can't play in the bottom 6. Like, I'm
No,
telling you right now.
no.
Mikael Granlund, I loved this guy when he was in Minnesota. Okay, I did. He has not been great this year at all. And it's not like 64 points in 80 games last year is a great number, but James, like, those, like, this season he's got 36 points in 58 games. Those 36 points, that is all he contributes. Right? He doesn't do much off the puck. He doesn't do much in his own zone. He doesn't, like, he gets the puck, he'll make the pass, and that player will score on his pass. And point production is a valuable thing, but giving up a 2nd-rounder for a 31-year-old that's making $5 million till 2025 and does nothing else for you, does nothing to address your needs. And again, I've talked about the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know what they're doing. I know they're not gonna sell the farm. I get it, but this team's not winning a cup, and they are just digging themselves into a hole of a dreary days in the next foreseeable future. I don't even know how many years it's going to be, but they are not going to be good for a while.
So the one thing I could possibly see is Mikhail Granlund and Jason Zucker had incredible chemistry in Minnesota. That is a fact. So I wonder if they take Zucker off of Malkin's wing, where he's been playing exceptionally well this year, and they craft a new third line out of that, and they plug and play someone on Malkin's wing. And I wonder if they try to go through the spread the wealth out through three lines play that they made when they won 2 cups. And yes, I know none of those players are Phil Kessel in a peak Phil Kessel, but I wonder if that is an option, and I wonder if that's something they could do, because then that does address the depth issue a bit. If that's not the way they go, I'd be really worried. Jeff Carter is declining hard. He is not what he used to be. I love Jeff Carter. He's just not what he used to be.
He's 37, man. Like,
He's just, I've been told, hard to watch.
38, I think now. Yeah,
I've been told
this
he's
year.
just a mess out there. Like, he can't skate. He's not creative offensively like he used to be. He's just not. He's past his prime. He's on the back end. It's a fact. It's sad. That's just another part of childhood skating away, but skating away very slowly. But yeah, so I don't think these moves help them enough. And if you go on social media and see where Penguins fans hang out, they are gunning for Ron Hextall's head. They hate this guy's existence. Hextall said up and down, I'm not trading our first round pick. I'm not mortgaging our future. And, he stuck to his word. He didn't do that, but he just toasted the team's, yes, underperforming depth. Maybe even try a bunch of minor leaguers in there, see if it works, see if you can flip it around somehow. But the depth is not working. It's not there. And so he just shuffled a bunch of stuff around, more or less just lost a bunch of players to add one, yes, admittedly, much better player, but a player who doesn't fit the role you need to fill. So, sweet, you got a player. Zucker's expiring. Whatever. You're gonna is Granlund is contract security, I guess. I guess that's a silver lining. Granlund can help pad the stats for your big boys over the next couple years. There's something, I guess.
James, honestly, Hextall's in a no-win situation
Yeah.
because he's either the guy that gave away futures for a group that was never going to win a cup, or gave away Crosby's last chance to win a cup, right? Like,
You remember Brian Burke's interview upon taking the job as president of Hockey Ops?
No.
He said this is one of the most interesting times to come into an organization as a GM, because you have one of the greatest players of all time in Sidney Crosby and a couple of the greatest supporting pieces you could ever ask for in Malkin and Letang, all exiting their prime. Like, they're all coming out of it. They can still put up numbers. They can still produce. They can still have crazy good nights. They are not what they used to be, but they are still incredible players. And now is the time where you have to do what you can to surround them with pieces, or you have to tear it all down, or you have to sit there and decide what's next. And like you said, it's a no-win situation. Jim Rutherford was handcuffed by ownership and not allowed to trade Malkin or Letang. That's one of the reasons he ended up leaving. I mean, aside from health and COVID and whatnot. But yeah, it's a new ownership group, and they still sign those guys again. So it's hard to say what's next and what's going to happen. I don't want to see mediocrity from that organization in Crosby's last years, Malkin's last years, Letang's last years. I think Jari's a really solid goalie. I think Jake Gensel's an absolute weapon. And I think they have some really
Jari's
good
expiring.
Yeah, exactly. Jari's expired. What's happening there? It's it's hard to say what's next, and these moves don't shed any light on it. That's really all I have to say.
All right.
Moving on. Lightning get forward Mikey Asamont from the Sharks for Vlasiv Nemesnikov. The Lightning retain half of Nemesnikov. Asamont's basically making the same amount as Nemesnikov that way when you factor in those things. Asamont was a minor leaguer who worked his way through the Kings system, ended up playing for the Sharks in their depleted roster this year. Actually produced a decent clip, and he was a solid piece. I think the Lightning saw a player they want. No one can ever really doubt their pro scouting department and what they've been able to locate and what they've been able to add. Jeannot trade that we talked about aside, because we don't know about that yet. Yeah, clean little piece of work done.
Yeah, and the Mesnikov Tampa Bay guy who was traded by the Lightning away, they got him back, and they've traded him away again. So maybe he's maybe he will eventually return to the Tampa Bay Lightning when his contract is up in the summer. But yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, we get to this morning.
Oh, thank God.
The Boston Bruins acquire forward Tyler Bertuzzi from the Red Wings for a conditional first-round pick in 2024 and a fourth-rounder in 2025. The first rounder's top 10 protected.
Yeah, it's cute.
That's
well,
just like
you know what? Okay,
that's
that's next year.
and
right?
and also the Red Wings are retaining 50% of Bertuzzi's salary, which was already pretty low. What was it, like 3.8?
Oh, he's at no, he's at 4.7.
Or 7. All right, yeah.
But getting Bertuzzi at 2, I actually I don't know. You can start.
I love that for Boston. You just keep adding pieces, just keep strengthening everything. They're looking stupid good already. Just keep adding. Sometimes you worry about adding too many pieces kind of messes up the mojo, but I don't really think anything's going to mess with their at least regular season mojo. And also, also Bertuzzi was expiring, and Hronik was shipped out. They just signed Larkin to an 8-year extension. Tons of money. Was it almost 10 million a year?
Yeah, no, only 8.7 a year.
Oh, 8.7. That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah, 8.7. You know, you clear some room. They committed to the players they wanted to commit to. Red Wings have a lot of pieces, young pieces. They're going to need to get paid soon. So Tyler Bertuzzi was not part of their future plans. Solid move from Yzerman, as you know, it doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs. They could, but it doesn't look like they will. So I think solid piece of work from Yzerman, solid piece of work from the Bruins. Good move on either end. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not a huge Tyler Bertuzzi guy, but the fact that a
He's a
similar
good
player, a similar player to Tanner Jeannot fetched a lot less than Tanner Jeannot, right? Like,
yeah, the age and injury concerns and other concerns are also a thing.
He had a killer season last year, 30 goals and 62 points in 68 games, but he started to score this year. He started terrible this season.
He's picking it up now.
Yeah, he's starting to play. And I think the other thing that has to be stated for the Bruins, Nick Foligno and Taylor Hall, both big injury concerns. Like, surgery isn't out of the question for either of them. So this strengthens that left wing side if both of those guys are, at least even one of those guys are down. So yeah, I like it for the Bruins. Giving up a first in 2024, they have to cross their fingers that that's going to be a late pick. With a team as old as Boston, you never know. But again, they've been good enough this year that you have to assume that 2024 pick is going to be at least in the back half of the first round next year.
Definitely. Moving on to the next one. The Coyotes continue their trend of taking on contracts forever. The Coyotes acquire forward Jacob Voracek, who, according to news earlier this season, will likely never play again. And a 6th-round pick in 2023. Blue Jackets get John Gillies. Done. All right, that's all I have to say about that one. You? Hands off. All right. We already covered. Quick going to the Golden Knights. The package going back was Michael Hutchinson and a 7th-round pick. It's worth noting that the reason the Golden Knights were able to do so is because the Blue Jackets retained 50% of quick salary. Done. This one was an interesting one because this player was considered pretty decent a few years ago. Blackhawks acquired forward Anders Bjork for future considerations. I didn't have high expectations, but I thought he was a decent third liner.
Well, and it's kind of funny. Was he not the main piece in the Taylor Hall trade?
That trade was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke, but yeah, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. All right, and the last trade that we have to cover. This is wild. We've made it all the way up here. We have made it this far. The Oilers acquire Nick Bjugstad and defenseman Cam Dineen from the Coyotes for a third-round pick in 23 and defenseman Michael Kesselring. Oilers add more depth. Cam Dineen, how old is he? Like 23? Not old. Like he's got some. There's some chance there. He could be something. Maybe a depth D.
He's
Uh,
24.
24. Yeah, it's possible. And the Coyotes get a third-round pick for more expired contracts. Don't know if Michael Kesselring is the same of the same family as the Kesselring that plays in the BCHL. I imagine so. It's possible, but yeah, that's pretty much the Oilers adding more depth and the Coyotes continuing to shed expiring contracts. The Coyotes retain 50% of Bjugstad's salary, so Oilers get him on the cheap, makes it work. We will have more trades to cover. We will
Oh, you're missing one, buddy.
What am I missing?
Just Dylan Sekura got traded. Somebody who I thought was, he looked like a stud in college, didn't end up working out. Just a minor league trade.
Where did he go?
Sekura, hold on. I didn't have this open because I was leaning on you here, man. Sekura goes to Anaheim for Maxim Golod.
Wow, that one really moved the needle for both squads.
Yeah, Golod is just a 22-year-old playing in the ECHL this year. So
all right, well, so before we briefly end this segment, because we'll be coming back to you guys after the deadline Friday morning in the same episode. Yes, this is a stupidly long one, I understand, but there's lots of news to cover, and this is what we do. Here we go. I was really hoping this guy would go to free agency, but after the season they're having and how much fun these guys are having, wasn't going to happen. Boston Bruins sign winger David Pastrnak to an 8-year extension worth $11.25 million per season. It's $90 million overall. That's makes him the 6th highest paid player in the league behind McKinnon, McDavid, Panarin, Matthews, and Carlson. Yeah, wow. It's a lot of dough, and he's earned it. He has 42 goals and 80 points this year. Like that's nothing to snuff at. That's in 60 games. 80 points in 60 games. Like you can't go wrong. David Pastrnak is an elite player. He's a top winger in the NHL. Like, maybe one day we'll rank the top wingers in the NHL. As far as right wingers go, there's not really much else there. Like he might be the guy. But yeah, David Pastrnak signed that extension. Like I said, I was kind of hoping he would test free agency, just at least see what's out there. Maybe have some team throw some stupid number at him, and then he thinks about it, and then he still sticks in Boston. Just give us a storyline,
Yeah. Well, he's going to hit 50 for the first time this year. I like this signing a lot for obvious reasons. Like you said, he's one of the best wingers in the league, top 5 easily. $2.5 million cap hit. That's like 13% of the cap right now. Cap is going to go up, right? Of course, he's 26 too, right? Like I don't love this contract if he's 29, if he's 30. But 26 years old means he's making this clip until he's 34. That's not like
that's not bad at all.
No, it's not. He's probably still going to be a very effective player at that age. So yeah, for Boston, you get your guy locked up. He becomes the highest paid player on the Bruins. So no, good for Pastrnak to secure the bag. Good for Boston to secure their, as Bergeron and Marchand and Krejci move on, their next forward stud. And yeah, good for both teams.
It's the McAvoy and Pastrnak show going into the next decade.
Yeah.
Like that's their squad.
All right. So speaking of players drafted in the first round of the 2014 draft, extending with the team that drafted them, Dylan Larkin, 8 years, 8.7 AAV. I think him getting just above Bo Horvat is exactly what he should have been getting.
Yep.
22 goals, 57 points, 59 games this year. I think this guy has easily point per game potential. He's never quite hit it. Always come close. I think this is a guy that could reliably get you 30 goals and 80 points every season from now until his contract's over. I like him a lot. He's a good player. He's not a Selke candidate by any means, but he is a solid two-way center. He's not a liability defensively. Good signing. Good for Yzerman to get it done. Good for Larkin to get it done.
And to top it off, he's from Michigan and he's captain of the Red Wings. That can't be discounted. That's the hometown boy staying put. You love to see it. But anyways, we will we'll give you some short buffer theme music, and we will come back to you for you in a minute, but for us tomorrow. Welcome back. If you're listening, it's been a few seconds. If for us, it's been a day and a half. But yeah, we're gonna finish up this trade deadline. We're gonna go over some more players on the move. Definitely the most excitement happened beforehand, but I still think there's some substantial moves here. I thought it was a busy enough deadline morning. Aiden, how do you think the did you tune into any of the trade deadline broadcasts?
No, dude, today was a game day, so it's 10:45 in the morning. I'm at the rink. I do an interview and then I sit in my booth until until everybody else gets there. And I do my prep and I do my pregame show. So it's a no fun day. Not
Were
that I
you
don't enjoy
watching the
my
phone at
job.
least? Were you
Pardon?
at least watching the phone, paying attention to
Yeah,
it?
no, I had the ringer on, so as the notifications were coming in, I was tracking through them. So I
There
did
we
get
go.
at least a first impression. And my dad called me, so we got to talk about it a little bit.
Well, should we just dive right into it again?
Yeah, let's get going.
All right. Well, first thing, this one happened last night, late last night. Birthday boy Max Domi, along with goaltender Dylan Wells, get dealt to the Dallas Stars from Chicago in return for Anton Hudobin and a second round pick in 2025. I think this was a solid move for Dallas. Free up some cap space with Hudobin, fit in Domi, who wasn't making a whole lot of Domi. That one rang for me. And then yeah, Chicago gets another draft pick. Chicago continues strapping up, filling up with draft picks. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, Max Domi, I like the player. He's had a good year in Chicago. And for Dallas, I think it's a good fit. You've already added Evgeny Dadonov and you've got a great first line with Robertson, Hintz, and Pavelski, but getting to add, you're adding Domi, you're adding Dadonov to a group that has a good young 19-year-old Wyatt Johnston's been really good. Tyler Seguin is still a solid player. Jamie Benn's having a really good year, like 54 points in 62 games, kind of going under the radar for a guy in Ben who kind of he had a pretty tough year last year. Didn't even hit 50 points in 82 games. So for the Stars, they know how wide open the Western Conference is, and I think this is a pretty solid move, kind of to try and take that.
Completely agree. Continue adding to the attack, right? And the Stars talked about wanting to get players to be able to play with Tyler Seguin. So whether it's Dadonov, whether it's Domi, someone's going to be able to do it. Moving on, we kind of started this morning, Friday morning, with some less exciting moves, right? The Canucks acquire future considerations in return for defenseman Wyatt Kleniak. I believe that's how you say it, Kleniak. Yeah, just shedding a player off their roster. It's really all it is. Sent him over to the Rangers. Done deal. I don't know. As a Canucks fan, did he really have any impact in the system? Did you? I remember him being a name.
Yeah, no, I I recognized the name when he was moved, but yeah, like defenseman for Abbotsford wasn't a big impactful guy for them in the AHL, and yeah, it's just moving some salary, no biggie.
Definitely. And then there's another one of those. Chicago acquires Austin Wagner from the Kings in return for future considerations. They just moved a lot. They moved a few guys, just someone to come fill in. Really, that's all I see there.
Yeah, agree with you. Austin Wagner is more of an NHLer, obviously,
Definitely.
than Kaliniak. Yeah, Chicago just gets a guy to play on the fourth line. No worries.
And another minor league move. Colorado acquires for Gustav Rydal in return for forward Anton Bleed. That was a swap with the Rangers. Another minor league swap. Nothing major. Bleed got in a couple games, I believe. Looked all right. Didn't look too bad. He was fringe NHLer. It was just another shaking things up move. I don't know. I think quite a few of these moves this morning were just that. We're shaking it up. Sabres acquired defenseman Austin Strand from the Ducks in return for Chase Prisky. Chase Prisky's a name I recognize and someone who looked like he was on his way to the NHL. So maybe with the Ducks, maybe he slides in. Now, so this trend just continues. Like it was the whole morning. Dallas acquires forward Scott Reedy from the Sharks in return for forward Jacob Peterson. Jacob Peterson's another guy who I recognize, that kind of thing. Now, this next one, I noticed this one right away. LA Kings acquire forward Nate Schnarr from Montreal in return for defenseman Frederick Allard. Nate Schnarr was a part of the Taylor Hall trade to Arizona. He was a piece that went to Jersey. I don't know how he got there, how he got to Montreal. I have zero recollection of him getting to Montreal, and he was a pretty decent prospect at one point. So I don't know, maybe a shot in the dark for both teams.
You know who he got traded for?
Who did he get traded for?
The Hamburglar.
Oh,
Yeah, when
oh,
Andrew Hammond played 4 games in Montreal last year, and New Jersey needed a goalie in a pinch, they traded for Andrew Hammond. Remember how many goalies played for the Devils last year?
a lot. I think 7.
7, yeah, and Hammond was one of them. So they sent Schnarr for Hammond, and yeah. I
My
mean,
favorite response I've ever heard to Andrew Hammond was when one of my friends said, "Oh yeah, the burger guy." That's what he's known for. Not the crazy win streak, the burger guy.
wasn't that all for a first round loss?
Yeah,
Yeah, that sucks.
yeah, yeah, I believe so. Next up, Sabres acquire a 7th round pick in 2025 from Nashville in return for forward Rasmus Asplund. Asplund, yeah, I totally would have thought that this is a guy who is going to make the NHL and be a relevant piece. I don't understand where the Sabres just clearing space.
Well, he had a good year last year.
He
He
did.
had a kind of had a pretty like a low key breakout season, but enough to be considered a breakout season. Like I was surprised. Like that was just a weird one for me. Yeah, I guess maybe just like I don't know. I don't know. Like he like less productive this year in
I have
the games
zero
he played.
explanation for that one. A
Yeah,
seventh round pick 2 years from this draft.
yeah, and honestly, like if you're Nashville, laugh, right? Take it. 25-year-old bottom 6 center that could turn into a semi-effective player. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
good for you,
decent late
Nashville.
bloomer.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, he was a 2nd round pick, so you kind of, you kind of expected him to be a little bit more. I remember him on that 2017 Sweden World Junior team that was supposed to win that tournament and ended up falling in the semis to Canada. But yeah, it was a weird one. I don't mind Asplund.
No, me neither. Next up, Kyle Dubas still hasn't slept. Makes another deal, acquires forward Radim Zahorna in return for forward Dryden Hunt, sent Dryden Hunt to the Calgary Flames. I don't mind Dryden Hunt. I watched him play for the Rangers when he was on that team, and I thought he was a really solid depth piece. I'm honestly a fan of him, so that was an interesting one. But Dubas just keeps working the phones. That's all he's been doing. The guy has 7 phones, and all of them are on loud, and he hasn't slept. So what do you
Uh,
think
It's
there?
it's for size. Like Zahorna played for Calgary in the game that I watched them play Vancouver in December. He's 6'6", and like that's like
Yeah,
6'6" on feet. Like he's 6'7" on skates. This guy's huge. So for the Leafs, it's just you might run into the Bruins in the 2nd round, and having I think Zahorna is a more valuable player in that series than Hunt. So that's kind of my explanation.
totally. Next up, Philly sends out expiring depth forward Patrick Brown to Ottawa in return for a 6th round pick. Best thing Philly can do, move out expiring contracts. That's the name of the game at the deadline, and I honestly think Philly's played it all right.
Yeah, I mean 6th rounders miss more than they hit, obviously, but again, it's never a bad thing to add a draft pick for a guy that was going to leave in the offseason.
Totally. So next up, Vancouver makes a move, acquires a 4th round pick in 2024 for a guy I really like. I really like Curtis
Me
Lazar.
too. Me too. I was a little bit sad to see him go. Like a 4th rounder is what it is. Like again, much like a 6th rounder, they miss more than they hit, but provided you scout properly, you could always get a diamond in the rough in the 4th round. Especially if you're looking for like a goaltender. You get those diamond in the rough
Totally.
goalies later in the draft more so. It was a weird one because they had just signed him he was under contract for 2 more years, man. That was kind of the weird thing, was like they signed him in the offseason clearly like, hey, we want you to be our 4C for X amount of time. I gotta say, I like Jack Studnicka more than him. So if it ended up
Interesting.
kind of being like, oh, we're gonna we're gonna have Studnicka or Lazar be the 4C, I actually am glad they picked Studnicka. Um, I think it was just kind of making room. Like you and I have talked about the congested forward core, and the fact that it's still congested it's a frustrating thing to me, because obviously I wanted one or more of Besser, Miller, Garland to get traded at the deadline, and none of them did. But you add Crafts off. You
Who got a
add
power play assist yesterday?
He did nice pass to Besser.
Yeah.
I was really hoping Besser ripping one against Mini would make Bill Guerin be like, all right, we're gonna trade for him now. But he traded Greenway somewhere else, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Indeed, we will. Yeah, I am a Curtis Lazar fan. Going back to World Juniors, and I was very happy to see him get a career resurgence in Buffalo, Boston, everywhere he's been since he kind of came back into the fold. I thought he's been a really effective depth forward as he's redefined his career, and that's really the best thing you can hope for from these prospects who don't pan out to their potential when they're drafted, is they can find a role and still keep playing pro hockey and still keep doing what they love. And yeah, so solid ad for New Jersey. Character guy as well. Next up, LA Kings ship forward Brendan Lemieux and a fifth-round pick to Philly in exchange for Zach McEwen. I think these guys are very comparable players. I think like in terms of what they add to a team.
I mean, McEwen's not a rat, but yeah. Aside from that, um, yeah, like I like Zach McEwen a lot. He was a fan favorite in Vancouver for a reason. He fought. He had 1 year where he had like a weirdly high goals per game. He had like 5 and 15 or something.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been a few more games than that, but um, for Philly this year, like he's 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 the last semblance of like the grinder. Not he's not like a goon or anything, but he's the version of a goon now, where he's like a hard-nosed grinder that can hit, can fight, but also
He skates all
um
right too.
he's a good skater. Yeah, I was gonna say that. His puck skills are solid. He's a good skater. Brendan Lemieux, yeah, like I said, you know, I'm not a huge Lemieux guy. He probably has a little bit more offensive upside than McEwen does. But yeah, you're swapping pretty similar players. I'm not surprised Philadelphia identified Brendan Lemieux as somebody they like, and for LA, I think Zach McEwen fits into that team better than Lemieux does, honestly.
Totally. Yeah, easy one. Yeah, it makes sense. And Philly just gains another draft pick. It works perfect to me. Next up, Vladislav Nemesnikov, traded again. Winnipeg acquires the forward from San Jose for a fourth-round draft pick. Yeah, I think San Jose played that perfectly. They trade Mikey Asimont for a guy that they were going to get a draft pick for. Easy money.
Yeah, and like Nemesnikov has in the past been like a really good offensive player, and in the past been a pretty nothing guy, right? Like, and it's
I liked him for Colorado when they picked him up at the deadline.
yeah, it was a solid get for them. I'm torn, because to me, I think Winnipeg coulda, shoulda, woulda, maybe had a bigger swing at a guy,
Yeah,
right? Like the Jets are in a weird spot, and I don't mind kind of playing it safe, but I kind of expected more than just Niederreiter and Nemesnikov, but something's working there because they've had a good season, and the talent on the roster is undeniable.
totally. Like when you look at their top six forwards, they have crazy talent. Nobody's even talking about Kyle Connor this year because he's not leading his team in goals, but that guy's stupid talented. But yeah, so moving on. Minnesota acquires. I really like this move. This is a playoff move. Acquires forward Oscar Sundquist. I almost said Skundquist. Acquires forward Oscar Sundquist from Detroit for a fourth-round draft pick in 2023. That's a playoff move. I love that. I'm a fan of Oscar Sundquist. Nobody can discount what he did for both the Blues and the Penguins in playoffs. The guy's a very, very solid playoff player.
He was a Penguin, but he wasn't. He was on the sidelines for the Pens. But you're right about St. Louis. You're right about St. Louis. He is. He was a solid player in 2019. He again kind of much like I want to say like the Mesnikov, where you kind of look back and his offense was there and it kind of faded, right? So you don't really know what you're getting out of him. But for the Wild, he can be a lot of different things, and I think getting a versatile player on the cheap is a good thing. He's a pending UFA, so Minnesota will have a decision to make, but I don't mind it either.
Awesome. Yeah. And then Bill Guerin just continues staying active. Ships forward Jordan Greenway to the Buffalo Sabres for a second round pick in 2023 and a fifth rounder in 2024. I love the move for the Sabres as I thought that they needed to add, but not add too much and mortgage the future. I think this was the perfect acquisition, solid for the playoff push. And if they don't make the playoffs, then at least they can say they tried. And they can say, hey, we tried to inject some life into our roster. We showed the boys that we care.
Yeah, don't disagree.
Next up, this one I full on predicted both in my group chat with my friends and to Aiden. Um, but I didn't predict how complicated it was. This was a three-way trade. Pittsburgh acquires forward Nick Bonino back to the Steel City. I love that move for them. As we were talking before, just a short time ago for you listeners, about how they kind of just made a bunch of moves and ripped apart their bottom six for Michael Granlund. So this one with Nick Bonino acquired with 50% salary retention, the guy cost borderline nothing. I believe just over $1 million at 50% retention. In return, the Sharks acquire defenseman Arvid Hendrickson, a conditional fifth rounder in 2024, and a seventh rounder in 2023. And then Montreal gets a fifth rounder in 24 for taking half of Bonino's salary, and defenseman Tony Sun. The condition on the fifth round selection, it becomes a fourth rounder if Pittsburgh gets to the Eastern Conference Final. That's all. What do you think of this one?
I agree with you about liking it for Pittsburgh. Benito's a solid player. Still, right? Like he's past his prime, but he's not by any means nothing, right? Like he's 10 goals, 19 points in 59 games with the Sharks this year. You add to the bottom six if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, and yeah, it's not too expensive of a move, and if nothing else, you kind of get that a fan favorite back in the door. Why not?
Damn right. And we'll never forget that call. I will not try to imitate it, but we will never forget that call. So next up, this was a bit of an interesting one. The Ritchie brothers were traded for each other. The Flames acquired defenseman Troy Stetcher and forward Nick Ritchie from the Coyotes in return for forward Brett Ritchie and defenseman Connor Mackey. What do you think of this? I think the Flames just wanted a little more size, and they get more of a depth defenseman that they can play in Troy Stetcher.
Yeah, I think Calgary kind of fleeced them, honestly. Like Nick Ritchie and Troy Stetcher, I think are the two best players in this deal.
Yeah.
They got them straight up for the other two, right? Like, I loved Stetcher in Vancouver. Like he was a solid number six, and I think that's what he's going to be for Calgary.
Yeah, it's perfect. Just another defenseman to inject into your lineup. I remember hearing someone say that in today's NHL, like you want 8 or 9 capable defensemen as you go into the playoffs. You're going to get injuries. It's an all-out war. If you're going all the way in deep, you're going to need these guys. After a hard-fought 82 game season, like there are people who are nursing injuries that sometimes those injuries don't even come out. So it's good to just have that extra depth just in case. And Calgary, admittedly, they have struggled this season, but sometimes you just got to get into the dance. Next up, a trade that I really, really like for one team, and it's really unfortunate for the other team and for the player, I guess. Uh, Forward Jakub Vrana sent to St. Louis in exchange for a seventh round pick in 2025 and minor league forward Dylan McLaughlin. Detroit retains 50% of Vrana's salary. Honestly, I think maybe the winner in this deal, if I had to pick any, is Jakub Vrana, because regardless of what he's going through, what he's gone through this season, it's a fresh start. And sometimes that's just what you need. So I think he definitely wins this trade. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, man, I was so ready for this to be Vrana's year, and it just
Yeah,
didn't work out. Like he was scoring at a half a goal a game clip last year after his injury, and yeah, I've really felt bad for him all season, and yeah, I think you're right. Like maybe this is the start of him becoming what he was supposed to be, right? St. Louis, and as much as I think they're a team on the decline, they still have a lot of good players to play him with, and you hope for the best for him, honestly. Yeah.
definitely. So that's one that I was happy to see. There wasn't a ton of action today, and that's one where I was just like, all right, this is something that needed to happen. It wasn't necessarily a move that I thought was going to happen for sure. I thought maybe if there's a Verona move, it would happen in the off season, but here we are. I'm glad it happened. Let's move on. Pittsburgh continues staying busy. They acquire defenseman Dmitry Kulikov from the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for forward Brock McGinn and a third-round pick in 2024. Kulikov, pretty physical guy, solid depth D. Brock McGinn was already sent down to the minors and cleared waivers, so honestly, with the Ducks being what they are, that's just someone to make some money on your roster. And Brock McGinn has hustle. Like the guy goes out there and works hard. So, with all their young guys, maybe it's someone who can set some example and continue just trying to stay competitive as the team floats in the basement.
Yeah, part of me thinks that the third round pick was a third because Pittsburgh wanted Anaheim to take McGinn as well. Like I think that's
I
partially a
agree with
third
that.
for Kulikov and partially a third to take McGinn's cap hit. Um, because I would not have given a third for Kulikov. Like, um, honestly, like I like Stetcher more than Kulikov. Um,
Fair.
so when I
I
first
think
saw that, I
some
was like,
people might disagree with you, but fair.
no, yeah, and for me, it's just about what Pittsburgh needs. Like I look at that back end, and I'm like, well, Brian Dumoulin, right? Like you've got who Chad Ruedel too, Marcus Pedersen.
Chad
Those
Ruedel
are
actually plays exceptionally well in Pittsburgh. Their right side is not an issue whatsoever.
No, it's not. So you have the steady, as far as Jan Ruda, Brian Dumoulin, Marcus Pedersen go, you've got the size. Jeff Petrie even 6'3". So to me, like kind of a smaller puck moving guy would have been like Stetcher would have fit their mold more. That's kind of more what
They
I
have
mean.
P.O.
Like
Joseph and Ty Smith is hanging out in the minors ready to hop in.
yeah, and man, Ty Smith, like what they gotta play him, man. Like he was playing really well. He was playing
He
really
really was.
well. And then they sent him down. I don't get that decision. I like him. I like Ty Smith a lot. I was kind of hoping he was going to come to Vancouver in a trade. I don't remember who was rumored to go to Jersey, but um I was kind of hoping he would come back and yeah. So yeah, it's a weird one, and I think part of it for me too is you're right. Like play Ty Smith.
Definitely. Well, and I think the reason Ty Smith wasn't played all that much initially was because they want to trade P.O. Joseph. That was a player they want to move. And then in giving him more time and more exposure to kind of show what they had in him, he played really well. P.O. Joseph had a solid showing. I mean, offensively at least. From what I hear, he was decent in his own end. So, you know, honestly, I think it was just a circumstantial thing where it was like, we don't know if we can call Ty Smith back up because we have something solid here. Moving on to the final trade of this season, the last one, and one that we kind of knew was happening. We knew this trade was coming, especially when he signed there in the summer. The Anaheim Ducks shipped John Klingberg to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for defenseman Andre Suster, center Nikita Nestorenko, and a fourth-round pick in 2025. Um, you know, I think John Klingberg would have got a bigger return if Dallas traded them last year. Um, this was not a big return. I don't think Anaheim really had any leverage. It was probably like, we don't have a lot of options here. They kind of continued the trend from earlier when they got Brock McGinn back in that trade, where they got Andre Suster so someone can keep playing. They're not completely emptying the ship. They want players to play. They want their young guys to stay competitive and try every night, even though they're not icing the most competitive team. So I like the trade for both sides. Minnesota adds depth on the blue line. How many rentals did Minnesota add? That's a lot. Like they added a lot of pieces. So, Minnesota definitely making a push. using that cap space while they have it this year before the Parise and Suter buyouts definitely toast them over the next few years.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the deal. I like betting on somebody like a Nikita Nestorenko, and it comes from where I am and what I do. I am the I work in the junior A to NCAA route, and that's what he did. He played for the Chilliwack Chiefs in the BCHL and is currently in his third season in playing for Boston College in the NCAA. 30 points in 32 games for a good Boston College team, right? He's second on that team behind Cutter Gauthier, who was a first rounder to Philadelphia in 2022, fifth overall pick.
He's gonna be sick. I
He's
like
gonna
Cutter
he's gonna
Gauthier.
be a pretty solid player. Yeah, I again, he's one of those guys that like you don't really know what you're getting out of the U.S. national development team, right? Like you could get an absolute stud, or you could get somebody whose numbers were inflated on that team because of how good it is, right? Because basically that's like an all-star team just playing in a league. Um, but so I like the trade in that sense because Anaheim gets somebody who is putting up good numbers in a good league at 21 years old, will at least come into the AHL after he's done at Boston College, right? And the Ducks will be able to have a look at him at San Diego, see what they have. For Minnesota, you don't give up too much, right? You don't have to give up a first, second rounder or anything for this guy, and you get an effective puck moving right shot defenseman who can slot in seamlessly on your power play.
Totally, completely agree. And I think one of the weirder things was, I saw Minnesota making all these acquisitions, and I'll ask you a follow-up question coming out of here, but I totally thought Matt Dumba was getting moved. Do you think the right offer just wasn't out there?
I think that would have been part of it. I think the other thing too was I honestly right offer. I don't know if there was an offer that
Interesting.
they wanted to take because I think the only offer they would have got for Dumba would have been for more money on longer term. Dumba's a pending UFA and he's not got a small cap hit. So they would have needed to move Dumba to a team that might have wanted him, right? Like a lot of teams are up against the cap. He's making $6 million. So Minnesota would have had to take money back from that team so they could free up the space for Dumba. And like Dumba for Besser has been a rumor for like ever, right? But even if you do that, if you're Minnesota, you're getting rid of Dumba $6 million this year. You bring in Besser, who is an effective player, sure, but he's also at like I think a 6.25 clip till 25 or 26, right?
Right.
So with Minnesota's salary cap situation, I don't think they wanted to take money back long term, and the deal out there wasn't one of picks and prospects for them because teams giving up the picks and prospects for Dumba wouldn't have been able to fit his contract in. I think that's kind of what happened.
That makes sense to me. So what I was going to ask you as a follow-up is there anything else that you thought was going to happen other than the Vancouver trades we've talked about? Uh, is there anything else you thought was going to happen at this deadline but didn't?
I'm kind of surprised Joel Edmondson didn't get moved.
Me too.
Yeah, the Canucks guys, I thought one was going to get moved.
I thought it was Garland. I thought Garland was going for sure. I thought he was
Garland's
one of them than a move.
Garland's the most cost effective one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Miller's got an 8 clip for 7 years after this. Besser's at above 6. Garland's under 5 to be an effective second line winger, right?
Or an expensive third line winger if you're trying to stack up for playoffs.
Yeah, right. Just gives you depth. Again, another second power play unit guy that works his ass off when he like when he's trying, right? Like I just
Yeah.
you don't see it from Garland every night, but when he's switched on, he's a machine.
He passes the eye tests with flying colors when you see him trying.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, Edmondson comes to mind, but then even like we saw Pasternak and Larkin get extended during this period as well. Right. I told you a long time ago, not a long time ago, a few weeks ago, I said I thought DeBrincat was going to be the sneaky move. And then after I said that, Pierre Dorian said we're not trading Alex DeBrincat. So that was
I
kind of
definitely disagreed with you when you said that.
well, I think Pierre Dorian saying it means that I was at least onto something. Like I'll use that as a little bit of like justification for my comment. Like somebody else was thinking it too. For him to have to be like, we're not doing that. Yeah, I Edmondson comes to mind. I thought Carolina was going to take a bigger swing.
Me too.
I thought they were going to get somebody to replace the injured Pacioretty. And if I'm going to be honest, I think they let an opportunity get away from them, right? Like
Yeah.
they're a good enough team where it's not like Boston is win now or bust, right?
Yeah.
Carolina is not. Carolina is still a solid team that they have years left in this window beyond this one. So
Yeah.
giving up everything in the future for a big swing this year didn't really make sense. Um,
I think they were in hard on Timo Meyer.
I think they were till the end and then they fell off hard. Like it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, we're not doing this. Well, that's the thing too. Carolina doesn't have all of the prospect capital that Jersey did, right? Um, and Jersey didn't even really have to sacrifice much of it. Yeah, so I would say Edmondson and lack of movement from Carolina would have been the two things that I probably would have the standouts be.
I think for me, there's one thing that jumped out to me. I thought the Islanders were going to do more. They have Detroit, they have Ottawa creeping up behind them. Their playoff spot is not guaranteed. There's two playoff spots to go there, and it's going to be filled with Detroit, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, Islanders. Two of those four teams are going to be in there. And I didn't really think the Islanders did enough to strengthen that. I thought maybe just a couple depth guys, just something. Just bring something into the fold. Maybe they really like what they have. Maybe they really like what they have and they're just waiting for Barzell to get healthy. I get that. But I just thought that team needs to do more to be competitive.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think your impression might have been different if they like waited and then pulled the trigger on Horvat later on, right? I think that might have gone into it. It's just
Still,
the
that's
Horvat
one
thing.
player. That's one player.
I know, but it happened so long ago. Like, yeah, I don't disagree that they maybe could have added more. Um, but if the Islanders are going to do anything, man, I love Horvat. Obviously, I like Barzell. I like a lot of their forwards. I love Noah Dobson. I like their defense a lot. If the Islanders do anything, man, it's because of the one guy.
Ilya
That's it.
Sorokin.
That's it. It's just him, right? He is the do or die. He is the ride or die. He's everything to that team. So, um, I think it's all about him, honestly. So I think they could have done things around him, but if Elia's on, then the Owls are scary, right?
I just thought some of these moves with some of these players, I thought like a Marcus Johansson, I thought that would have been a good fit with the Islanders. I thought a Nick Bonino would have been a good fit there. Maybe other teams were offering more. Maybe the Islanders weren't interested. Maybe, like I said, maybe they just liked what they had. The Carolina thing, that was a big one as well. I thought they were definitely going to add a forward. We saw them add Shane Gostisbehere, but who Shane Gostisbehere, who I believe scored a power play goal tonight. I believe I was looking at that. That's interesting. That bolsters their second unit. As if Carolina's power play wasn't already scary enough. Yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all for the deadline. I guess one more question for you. Is there something that you didn't see happening until the offseason that happened at this deadline?
Chikrin.
Chikrin. Yeah, I thought he
Actually,
was going to the offseason as well.
yeah, I thought, and I think Arizona would have been smarter to wait, right?
Yeah.
Because there were teams, allegedly there were teams with better offers that needed Arizona to take money, right?
Uh
And they didn't want to do it. So to me, in the offseason, clearing up $4.6 million of cap space would have been a lot easier, right?
yeah.
And so no, and Ottawa did it. Credit to them. Like that was the Zaitsev. We talked about the Zaitsev move being DeBrincat money. Turned out it was Chikrin money. Um, but yeah, so I would have said Chikrin for sure. I'm surprised Pasta got done.
Me too. I didn't think that was happening right now. I thought that was going to be last minute, maybe a day into free agency or something like that.
Yeah. I don't think he would have hit the open market, but I thought it would have been a June signing, like a draft or something.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I think that's all we have on our trade deadline. That was a lot. I think this is the most I've ever fumbled players' names, and I felt borderline dyslexic going through all those trades. It's absolutely wild reading out every single player and pick that got traded. Like it's a mouthful. You know how much water I've had to drink just to keep my mouth from going dry from talking this much?
Welcome to my world.
And imagine if we didn't split it into two. Imagine going through all of that in one shot. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, imagine listening to this.
Yeah, I will say we were definitely
No
way more
way.
on fire our first go around.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. Well, I mean, and James, we're not done.
We're not done. It isn't the great Canadian hockey podcast without a couple great games to play. What do you got for me this week, Aiden?
Okay, so it's kind of like a modified career trajectories. What I'm going to do is I have a player. I'm going to give you three key pieces of information about his career, and you have to tell me who that player is. All right. The other thing I want you to do, I want you to tell me which one of the three do you get it on. Like, don't say it, don't cut me off, but then
Mm-hmm.
keep it in mind. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one is the easy, and I'm telling you right now, you will have it by number three. Um, I am a Vancouver, BC native who went the junior A to NCAA route in my development. I have played for two NHL teams in my career and have never once missed the playoffs. And I was involved in a trade from an American team to a Canadian team that sent Nazem Kadri and Callie Rosen the other way.
Oh, it's Tyson Berry.
No. Oh, James, you fumbled it. It was Alex Kerfoot, man. Tyson Berry was a clone of Rocket.
Ah! Ah! What? Ah!
You got so
Ah!
confident at the end, man. Tyson Berry missed the playoffs a lot in
So much.
Colorado.
Oh no. Oh, this deadline's taking a lot out of me, man.
Oh, James,
I'm not gonna make excuses. That was supposed to
that
be the easy one.
no, that might have been
I will say this game is hard. This is a game that's
it
hard.
is. It's a tougher one. It is a tougher one.
And you know what? You said before you got to give me some harder stuff because I had a couple weeks where I was on fire.
Yeah, and career trajectories too. Like it's gonna get to the point where I struggle to judge which three to pick. Like I because it's getting obscure, right? It's getting pretty random.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I gave you Jordan Leopold last week.
yeah, that's just a guy, right? um, okay, number two. So it is designed to actually get harder from here.
I'm worried. I think I'm gonna go for three.
Number two, first piece of information. I've played 402 NHL games for one team in my career, but it was not the team that drafted me. I was the only other draft eligible player on Canada's roster during the 2015 World Juniors, aside from Connor McDavid. And I was the 11th overall pick in the 2015 draft from the Kingston Frontenacs. My main attribute going into the draft was this my size. I was supposed to be the best power forward in that draft.
Oh, I can see his face. Um, oh, 402 NHL games, power forward, Kingston Frontenacs, draft eligible, Kingston Frontenacs. Ah, go through that team. 2015 World Juniors. 402 NHL games, not with the team that is this Lawson Krause?
Yep.
Oh, yes. It came to me and I was just like it came to me like maybe a good minute ago. As
Yeah,
soon as
that
you said power forward, but I couldn't picture him in a Frontenacs jersey and I don't know why.
yeah.
So that
Yeah.
really threw me off.
Yeah. He
Did
was
he
yeah,
play
he
for another junior team as well? I think he did, didn't he?
Kraus no, he was just the Frontenacs and the O.
Weird. Okay. Oh, that got me. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because he got shipped from Florida to Arizona.
Yeah, he was part of
Oh,
like sort of part of it was a weird trade because it was like partially like Florida traded him with Dave Bolin to Arizona. Bolin was never going to play again, and they got like a third and a second for that. I think it was yeah, it was a weird one. Um, Kraus is he's back to back 20 goal seasons now, man. He's kind of almost what he was supposed to be. Maybe
he's a
not
player
quite.
now. He's
Yeah.
a player. He's a killer in my fantasy league from filling all the extra categories.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So
I'm not going over 3.
no, you're not. Okay. So much like the first player, this right winger also went through the NCAA route to get to the NHL. He has played for 3 NHL teams, including the Colorado Avalanche, but you'd most know him as a Nashville Predator. And he scored the 2013 World Junior Championship winning goal for the United States.
This is gonna take me a minute.
It's a pretty random.
3 NHL teams, played for Colorado, most know him as a Nashville Predator. 2013 World Juniors. I watched that one. I watched that game. That's the one where Jake McCabe was sick.
Yeah, he was nuts in that whole tournament.
And John Gibson.
Gibson was like, that made me think John Gibson was going to be like the next greatest goaltender of all time, that tournament.
Okay.
He stole that. He stole that tournament for the States.
Nashville
Canada was
Predator.
stacked.
And this guy is not a big name.
No. He's over point per game in the AHL right now, but has not played an NHL game yet this year.
Do I get a hint on this one?
I want to say yes. I just
I feel like I feel like everyone should get one hint per game.
Yeah, I just don't know what else to tell you about him. That's where I'm at.
Tell me the other team.
Florida, where he was drafted by the Panthers, played 27 games for them before he was traded to the Colorado Avalanche for goaltender Reto Berra. I think that's your hint.
Oh God. Why don't I have this?
Also, think Short King.
That's
one of the smaller guys to really play. 5'6". I saw the light bulb click when I said 5'6".
I know the player.
Yeah. He's a guy. Like you would know him, right? Like
It's
for
Rocco Grimaldi.
Yeah, it is.
If you didn't tell me the short thing, I would not have got it.
Yeah.
I would not have got it. Only give me a half point on that. I went 1.5 for 3.
That's solid. That's fine.
Rocco Grimaldi. I don't even remember him scoring that goal. I remember the US winning.
Oh man, it was a shot from the line that he like just reacted to and like got his stick on it and tipped it past. I don't remember who the Sweden goalie was, but it was, yeah.
That guy's talented. He was actually decent in Florida.
He was decent in Nashville.
Florida, Nashville, that's what it was.
He was never a guy in Florida.
Didn't he play in Florida though? Didn't he get NHL games in?
Yeah, 27. That was part of the hint.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Interesting. All right. Dude, that's a very fun game. And I feel like
honestly, dude, you know, my one of my primary motivators towards maybe popularizing this game is it lets me play with my draft stuff a little bit more. Like that's me. Because that's my niche. I think your niche is trades, I'd say. My niche is drafting.
I think I'm gonna give you a draft game next week.
Yeah, I think you're overestimating me a little bit though. Like I think if you make a draft game for me based on your impression of me, I'm gonna go for 3. It's only gonna be
stuff in the last 10 years.
That would help immensely. Yeah.
I already have the game in mind.
Yeah. I honestly thought of Lawson Krause. I don't remember why. It must have been. I don't remember why. I think I was listening to something and they were talking about like 2023 draft picks. And I was kind of trying to, because like 2023 draft is supposed to be kind of akin to the 2015 draft in terms of the talent level in it.
Yeah.
So I was trying to like think of the top whatever from the 2020 or 2015 draft. And I was running through in my head. I got all the way to pick 18 of like who got picked, but I couldn't think of 11. Like I went 1 to 10 and then 12 to 18, but I couldn't remember who picked 11th or who got picked. And I looked it up. It was Lawson Krause. So I was like, oh, that's
Isn't
fun.
This draft supposed to be incredibly thin on defensemen? Like it's stacked for forwards.
Yeah, like probably 2 defensemen should go in the top 20. That's it. Cameron
Allen?
No. It's a Swede by the name of Axel
Sandin Pellikka.
Yep. And then an Austrian defenseman is the other guy.
Wasn't Cameron Allen supposed to go in this draft? Like a couple years ago, he was supposed to be really good.
Yes.
OHL.
Yeah, he hasn't had a good year. Like, not that he's had a bad year. He's just taken a step back, and you never want to see that in a draft eligible guy. He's going to end up being a second rounder.
You know that could end up being a great second rounder for a team.
Yeah, well, he's a right hand shot defenseman who, yeah. The other one is by the name of David Reinbacher. He's an Austrian defenseman playing in the Swiss Pro League.
Ooh,
Um, and then there's a Russian guy, right? And it's I think Golyayev is how you pronounce his name,
yeah,
something
that's
like
right.
that. Um, and he's playing in the MHL, right? It's just another one of those leagues where it's hard to judge. More over point per game in the MHL, but there's a lot of other complicating factors when drafting Russians. He could also be a top 20 pick for sure.
Well, before we that just reminded me, before we call it a day on this podcast, I'm going to tell you and anyone listening about one of the ways I play franchise mode to give myself difficulty. I have to pick a country, and I got this from an NHL YouTuber named Tugi24. And yeah, so you have to pick a country and you start with an expansion team, and you have to pick an expansion team from only Swedish players or only Finnish players or only Russian players. Those are really the only countries that it actually works with, or you combine Czechia and Slovakia or something like that. And you couldn't really do it with Canada or the US. It's too easy. And then you can only draft players from that country. You can only sign players from that country. And it's been the kind of thing where I've done it with Russia, and I get like 20 years in, and I still haven't won a damn cup. And because there are
Dude,
so many forwards, can you find so many forwards and so many goalies? Can you find enough Russian defensemen to actually dominate? Not really. It's very hard.
well, try name me six. Like name me what their top six would be if there was an Olympics right now.
Sergachev,
Yeah.
Orlov,
Mm-hmm. Provorov,
Provorov, uh,
Gavrikov,
uh, sorry,
Gavrikov.
Gavrikov, Nestorov.
Oh, we're getting weak, man. We're getting weak if you're getting a Nikita Nesterov. Well, that's
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean. It's so easy to think of six Canadian, six
maybe
American
Alexander
defensemen.
Alexiev. Maybe he's making the team.
Dude, honestly, like Ilya Labushkin is on the top six,
Ilya
right?
Labushkin is
Like,
on the Russian Olympic team, guaranteed.
yes. Like and already and he because it also helps that he's right-handed. There's no right-handed Russian defenseman. Like Zaitsev
No,
and Zub are your guys,
Artem
right?
Zub is top pair on that team.
Yeah. Um
And so that's a problem that I run into a lot. I actually
yeah.
just started the franchise mode with St. Louis, so that should be fun. The whole roster is torn to nothing.
Okay, I just looked it up. Guess how many active Russian NHL defensemen there are, according to Quant Hockey?
9.
13. That's it. And 3 of them have played less than 20 career NHL games.
And
We
do you
have,
know how hard it is to pry Sergachev or Provorov from a team when you have 0 assets and you started the expansion draft?
yeah, I can imagine. And they're all left-handed too, which doesn't
Mm-hmm.
help, right? um,
Oh, there's lefties on the right side for sure. But you have no problem with forwards, especially as some of them continue getting older.
yeah, no, and that's that's always been Russia though, right? Like Gonchar was a beast, but other than him, their defense, Markov was a good player.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's been the goaltending that's just heated up like a like crazy, right? Like Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Sorokin, right? Like,
So I'll give you the key to success with that picking one
dude,
country
how do you
thing.
get 20 years? You don't play any games then, do you? If you got 20 years
I
into a
typically play between 3 and 5 games a year,
okay.
and
What I
it's
do,
only ever Wednesday home games.
I sim. That's random, but I sim the regular season. I'll play the playoffs most of the time.
Oh, dude, that's the worst way to do it because then like there's no test of your ability as a GM then. Because like if you're a good enough GM, then your team should have a chance at winning in the playoffs. You got to play the regular season games, have fun with your team. I wholeheartedly disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, I'm taking it so much less seriously than you are too. Keep in mind.
Oh, I'm a
Um,
freak with that stuff.
no,
This is
man. Like
like
I
where
just
I achieve peak
yeah
nerd level.
yeah like and I think we've also had this conversation. I'm also not good at the game, so I'm playing on All Star, and I'm struggling, right? Like I have to have a good team to win on All Star.
Hey, All Star's
Um,
hard.
yeah, I'll rip up pro pretty much no
Bro's
matter
too
what.
easy.
Yeah. I'm stuck in the middle, honestly,
Yep.
where I'll smoke the CPU pro team, but All Star gets the better of me unless Like right now, the franchise mode I was playing, I think I was telling you the other day, like it's a super team, so that helps
Mhm.
that I can like roll out 86 pluses on 4 lines and 3 defense pairings.
You definitely have
Um,
morale off
uh, ooh,
because
I don't.
otherwise those players are getting pissed.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I do on this one. I will change my settings with different ones, right? Like I'll play
Yeah.
some with whatever. I'll play some on hard trade difficulty, right? I'll play some on low or or you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I've ever done back-to-back franchise modes with the same settings. Like I'm always just switching it up, doing different things.
I want you to
Um
try the one country thing and let me know how it goes. Keep me updated.
yeah, dude, I had so
Sweden and Finland are the best ones to do it with.
yeah, I have so little time for that. I gotta tell you. Um whenever we get bounced from the playoffs, I'll do it. Um What I was gonna ask though is like, so if you're drafting a Swede, let's say you suck, you get first overall, best Swedes at 8. Do you draft that Swede first overall, or do you try and package like your first overall pick in a trade if
I'm
there's no
trying to
Swedish
trade
guys?
down, but if it's not possible, I just gotta take them.
You just send it? Wow. Like, so you're trading down. Like, would you trade the first overall pick for like, I don't know, who's like a young, like if Vancouver wanted the first overall pick for Pedersen, like, would you make that trade?
Easy.
Okay, so you're not like, oh, I still have to draft, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, okay. So I was gonna say, like, if it's like, oh, congratulations, your best suite is at 15, and you're not trading the pick. It's like, okay, well,
Dude, I've had it where there's not a usable Russian until the second round, and I have 3 first round picks in that draft from trading.
sell them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
But anyway, that was a fun little tidbit to end it all. I think this pod's gonna be a
this is
hell of a listen. It's
my
probably gonna have
God,
our
man,
worst optics out of any of them.
this is like a 6 hour podcast. Like,
Well, without further ado, because there's been a lot of ado, let's roll that outro. Thanks, guys.